in Mobile,
And
Alabama,
we are
or the
live
Chase
here
Down
in
place?
Question
Yeah, we live.
Activities.
All right, we are
It's
live. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
hello
live.
Activities,
everyone.
episode
Of course I'm
and
Drift, but everyone
stuff.
knows me,
Yeah,
aka
I'm
Manuel.
Tuxin
So
during
Oh,
960.
say it.
right. How long has it been since my last live? 2,
It's already been 2 months.
3
All right, I can just tell. Two
months, and
months.
2 months.
Hi
it would
everyone,
be.
I'm Snoopy from Britain.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, bro.
Snoopy.
And
Cheers, man.
yeah,
The last
I
time,
really
the last
caught up
time you went
just back
live
into the
was
game.
in.
And
Hey,
I
Mike,
think
go ahead
I
and
have more
push
than I
down.
can choose
So
Steph, I
today
go
from.
ahead
we're
and
gonna
bring your
talk
profile
about.
picture
So
back.
today we're gonna talk
Yeah,
about
two
the
people.
aviation disasters. Now, for those who don't know,
Yeah.
what is an aviation disaster? Aviation disasters involved with airlines. Airplanes. We all hear about them. The airplanes are the worst things to ever travel because of the reasons. Because they crash so often and many people die. Yes. But today we're going to discuss about most of these aviation disasters. And according to me, I'm more of a aviation kind of guy than a rail fanner. Exactly, because I've
You
known
still like
airplanes
trains?
for life. Yes, I still like trains, bro. Of course, I love trains. Don't get me wrong.
I still like trains.
Yeah, I still like trains. Anyways, let's get started
I
on
still
the
love
first
Aviation.
aviation
trains.
disaster we're going to take a look at. It's American Airlines Flight 191. Elijah, would you
Or
please send this
fighter
picture?
jets too.
Would you show it to
Or
everyone in the
tiger jets
audience
too.
about this plane? Right here. This plane, this is American Airlines Flight 191.
Yeah.
Someone captured it. The plane, as you see here, you could see flipped on its side, right?
Yeah.
And you see smoke coming out from the wings.
Yes, there's
Well,
smoke.
Well, what happened with that plane was that it lost an engine during takeoff, and the pilots tried their best to land, but sadly, they did not land. The plane crashed into the outside the runway in a trailer park, killing all 200 passengers on board. It was the worst aviation disaster in American history. What's up?
There's actually an aviation disaster that I know about.
Yes. Okay. What's the question? When was this made? Or what do you mean? Like when? Like the timeline? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about it.
I know about
We
an
should
aviation
also
disaster.
Anyways,
we should also talk about
okay.
trend and
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, if you guys want to know about the real plane, then here it is. Here, Elisha, would you share it to everyone? I'm sharing my screen right now. Here, will you please tell
you can
everyone
share
about
your screen
this?
if you want.
Yeah, share my screen, please. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so this is the accident plane. Okay, it is a DC-10. Okay,
DC-10.
For those who don't know, it's a McDouglas DC-10. For those who don't know, a Douglas DC-10 is very different than other types of planes.
Oh,
Boeing
I can notice the
757
plane
have
has
two
a
engines.
logo American.
Yes, obviously, because it's American Airlines. Obviously.
American Airlines.
All right. Anyways, okay. Okay, was I interrupted? Okay. So, American Airlines Flight 191 was a passenger plane that was heading towards from Chicago, Illinois. He was departing from Chicago O'Hare Airport, heading to Los Angeles or LAX, because that's the airport name. And
The
anyways,
LA, Los Angeles, California.
Yes, Los Angeles, California.
LAX. That
Yes,
spells
LAX.
lax.
Yes.
I got mine. I got a little bit. I got a little bit.
Anyways, before we talk about the incident, we need to talk about the pilots, okay? And according to the air crash investigation, we know about the pilots. We have the pilot that was involved, and his name would be of course, Captain Walter Lux, age 53, had been flying DC-10s since the introduction of 8 years earlier. He had logged around 22,100 flying hours, of which about 3,000 were in DC-10. He was also qualified to pilot 17 other aircrafts, including the DC-6, DC-7, and a Boeing 727. First Officer James Dellard, age 49, and Flight Engineer Alfred Edrick, age 56, were also highly experienced, and of course, they were on board. They had 9,275 hours and 15,000 hours, respectively. Between them, they had flying about 1,830 hours of flying experience on DC-10. And you have to remember, the DC-10s were still new when the accident happened. You have to know. They were new at the time. They were like the most popular planes in the entire world, I should say. But let's talk about an investigation though. We can't talk about the plane incident until we have to go back in time. So we're gonna go back in time to the moment of the incident. So with that said, where are we going to? Well, let's go back to the year 1972. In 1972, an aircraft, of course, which is American Airlines, was actually into maintenance, actually. The plane was under maintenance, right? And they were preparing for a test, right? Like they were replacing the engines because, when old engines get tired, they need to be replaced, right? It's standard practice. Everyone does that. Every airliner. But here's where things get worse. Right here, and I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll tell you guys about most of this incident. Okay, so right here in this that I'm going to show you, Elijah, would you please show it to everyone?
Yes.
Right here, this is the pylon of the plane. This is the engine. The engines they were replaced, right? They have to be replaced for everything. So they had to get rid of the pylon, which is the little big front triangle right here. If you see my mouse here, I'll point it right here. This right here, they had to remove it. And they had to remove the engines, the front engines, and the FT engines. And because of this, they had to remove it. But removing it is very dangerous because not only you're going to damage the engine, but you're also going to destroy the plane's fluids, the hydraulics of the plane. For those who don't know, what's a hydraulic system on a plane? Hydraulic systems is the lifeblood of the plane. In other words, it's where the whole thing is controlled and controls the steering, the wheel. It controls everything. It controls everything. Without that, the plane cannot fly. With these hydraulics, the plane cannot fly. So what happened on American Airlines on that day? They were going to use a forklift to lift the engine, right? And that was not done before. They usually done it before, like they never done it with a forklift. And once they replaced the old engines and they were going to put a new engine, it's somehow like the forklift was lifting it up, and then all of a sudden, according to one crew member, he said that he heard some sort of rag noise coming from the engines. And what happened was that the pylon in front, as you see here, was damaged.
Truly damaged.
It was damaged by the forklift. It was. And American Airlines actually did not believe that a pylon is very, very, it's very important to it. And if it damages the wings, the plane cannot fly. Okay, Project, what's your question?
Like, how bad was the damage? Like, was it
Let me see.
like, really bad or just bad?
It was really bad. You'll find out. Don't worry. We'll get to there. Don't worry. We'll get to there. I promise. We'll get to there. Okay. So because of this incident of what happened, they decided to let the plane. Like the plane wasn't like they didn't like nobody knew what was gonna happen with this plane if the engine somehow damaged. And because of this, American Airlines, the crew, they just left it. Like they did not go back and check it again. Nope. They did not do that. But little do they know that this incident had to leave a cause, like has to be an effect later. Because this is a cause and effect kind of thing, The cause of it was the forklift, and the effect was the crash. And now, since now we know what happened with the engines, let's talk about the day of the disaster. Okay, this is going to be struggling, and I would say, Elijah, would you play some music, because this is very, very depressing of what's going to happen. Okay, would you please play the music?
Oh, I'm trying to put the Beethoven sad moonlight music. Do that.
At least it's
I'm trying my best.
At least it's not going to be copyright music.
It's not. But don't worry.
Well, it doesn't have copyright music.
I'm trying to figure.
Okay, so we're on the date of the accident, May 25th.
And also, Zhao wants to join, and if anyone, and also Zhao, Iki, my friend, Tomek wants to join.
All right. Okay.
There's 6
people. Now that we know what happened, now we know what happened.
Say yes if any of you guys would want to leave, because
Yes.
Well,
And remember,
what was
this
the-
might be
what was the-
a little information. Like I could be wrong about something. If I'm wrong if I'm wrong about this incident, please leave a comment below to tell me exactly which day like they had the maintenance, because I know it would had to do with somewhere before the accident, so it had to be somewhere 1970 something. I don't know either.
Excuse me,
Yes, what's
Manuel.
up? Yes, what's up?
Is it okay if I talk about the disaster after this?
Yes, of course. Don't worry. Well, we're going to talk about it, but don't worry. We're right now going to talk about the day of the accident. We're going to talk about the date of the accident. On May 25th, 1979, Memorial Day. It was a Memorial Day that day. And on the ground was the McDouglas Douglas DC-10, as I mentioned earlier about the pilots. However, there was a bit of a change shift, actually. The captain, as I remember, First Officer James Dillard, he actually wasn't supposed to be flying that day because he was supposed to go to Los Angeles in another plane. But he decided to like some calls were made and he was changed to being the first officer of the plane. And okay, so right now what we're going to do is that we're going to play a video. Elijah, please share your screen.
Yes.
Okay. So the plane. Okay, put music, please. This might be depressing.
Here.
So the plane
Get
is already
music.
ready to clear for takeoff, right? The plane is already taking off, and everything goes normal, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really.
Everything goes normal, right? Everything goes normal.
It goes normal.
It was normal, right? The plane starts getting ready, taxiing to the runway, and everything is fine, right?
Yeah.
The plane suddenly takes off, like what it does it normally, but then suddenly, the left engine just comes off the plane like this.
It comes
right
off
there,
the plane. Yeah,
It
look at
comes
that.
off the plane. It comes
Wait,
off
guys,
the plane.
guys. I'm sorry for interrupting, but
What?
What?
Comments.
Oh.
YouTube comments.
Okay. Anyways, what happened was that the engine, as I mentioned, the pylon was thrown from the left wing because, according to some rumors, they say the reason why was because some of the bulkheads inside the plane broke off. I do apologize if I didn't say bulkheads bad. I know I'm not talking about a ship. I'm so sorry. I apologize. But what happened was that, it's not like a problem. Like sometimes engine failure happens during takeoffs, right? It's normal.
Yeah,
and
it is
after
really
all,
normal.
it's a two engines. DC-10s can fly with just two engines. But here's what happened though. Because of the engine and the pilots did not know what happened, everything went bad. One of the air traffic controllers actually who was there he actually witnessed the engine taking off. And he said, look at it, he blew an engine. Equipment, we need equipment. He blew an engine. Holy I can't say it, but he did say that.
Fine,
And he goes,
Holy crap.
Holy
crap.
He goes to the plane saying, American Airlines Flight 191. Do you want to come back or what runway? The pilots, they did not hear the air traffic controllers because they were trying to focus on landing their plane. And what happened was that they lost control of the plane. Because remember, the engine not only destroyed the wing of the engine, it destroys the whole hydraulic systems of the plane. So that means the pilots cannot steer or everything. It was like a lack of time. And what happened next? The plane suddenly banked to the left. It banked to the left like this. And then just for like 5 seconds of the airtime, the plane smashes into the runway.
Oh my god. That's deadly. That's deadly crash right here. That's the deadliest crash right here.
It smashes into the runway, actually. We actually have a photograph, actually.
Oh my god.
Here it is.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna edit it out
Look,
too.
This is where the crash happened. Flight 191 slammed into the ground at over 125 miles an hour. The force of the collision caused the plane to jackknife and implode.
It's just like the same miles an hour as it was going as Amtrak AEM7 and AC64 and Siemens Treasure SC44 at 125 miles an hour. The same with the German and DRG Class 05 Streamline 464 Hudson type steam trains.
Anyways,
Within
within minutes, rescue workers arrived at the scene, and they didn't know what was happening. They didn't see the plane crash. A police officer nearby actually witnessed the plane crashing and came and ran as fast as he can to call for backup. Within minutes, firefighters, police, and every medical care arrived at the scene. But there was no survivors, however.
No
Out
survivors.
of all the passengers, out of the 258 passengers, 271 people were dead.
Oh my god, I feel bad for the losses right here.
After the crash, there was a lot of investigation into conducting what happened, and we already know the probable cause of the accident. The probable cause was faulty maintenance. American Airlines Flight 191, of course, remains the deadliest and the worst in aviation disasters history. Not only in the US, but in the aviation disasters. Of course, after the incident, there was a lot of controversy to this day exactly what happened, because a lot of conspiracy theories though. But there were lessons learned about this incident, however. In the wake of grounding, however, on the investigation also revealed, of course, other DC-10s with a similar damage by same faulty maintenance procedure. The faulty procedure was banned, and the aircraft type went on to have a long career as a passenger and cargo aircraft. In response to this incident, American Airlines was fined at over $500,000, equivalent to $1.4 million in 2021's dollars, in today's money, by the US government for improper maintenance procedures. Earl Russell Marshall, a crew chief at the American Airlines maintenance facility in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the last maintenance procedure on the aircraft had taken place, subsequently died by suicide in the night before he was disposed by McDouglas attorneys. On June 6, 1979, 2 weeks after the crash, the FAA, or Federal Aviation Administration, suspended the type certified for DC-10, thereby grounding all DC-10s under its jurisdiction. It is also intended as special air regulation banning the DC-10 from U.S. airspace, which prevented against DC-10s not under the jurisdiction relevant requirements. Once the FAA was satisfied that maintenance issues were primarily at fault and not the actual design of the aircraft, the type certified was restored on July 13th in the same year, and the special air regulation was replied. The type certified was amended, however, stating, quote, removal of the engine and the pylon as a unit will immediately render the aircraft unworthy. In the wakes of the grounding, the FAA conferred a safe panel under a suspicious of the National Academy of Sciences, or NAC for short, to evaluate the design of the DC-10 and the U.S. regulating system in general. The panel's report, published in June 1980, found critical defenses in the way of the government certifies the safety of American-built airliners, focusing on a shortage of FAA expertise during the selection process and curbs on a later mission convened after the 2019 grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX. Australia faults both manufacturers of the law regarding take a design approach at how the pilots could address single system failures without adequately considering scenarios multiple systems malfunctions. On October 31st, just a months after the accident, a DC-10 flying as West Flight 2605 crashed in Mexico after a red ice flight. The crash, however, was due to disability in an attempt to let him across on a closed runway, though reportedly confusion of its crew. After the of course, there were new to prevent maintenance. Of course, America was sued for $500,000 in negligence, of course. For about 32 years, the victim
basic trains are real thinner. I don't think. I think we'll show you proof later.
32 years, accident, no permanent no funding was obtained for a memorial in 2009 2-year effort classical. I do apologize if I pronounced that right. The memorial, a 2-foot high, 0 meters, concave interlocking bricks displaying the names of the was formally dedicated ceremony on October 15th, 11. Located at the south shore of Lake Ulrica at Lake Park at northwest corner of Lee and Trumps that were 2 miles away from the crash. A remembrance ceremony held at the memorial 5th, 2019, 40 years after it. 30 days whose remains never identified at Green Hills Memorial in Paulsburg, California. Was developed in March 2020 and has been named the flight interchange of interstate 9. Again, after there were new regulations, but no one can forbid about the 200 people on board that included crew members, and it's actually true. Some bodies were actually never. Some of them were burned badly, and they couldn't announce to get all the victims' names. Most of them were not. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
No words. I have no words. Research. I have no
Just
words
no
at
word.
all.
I have no words. Yeah, that was pretty sad.
Yes, it indeed it was. It's very, very sad after the incident.
I feel bad for these people who died in this crash.
After was regulated, American Airlines was honestly on a tight water at that time because of this incident. If Flight 190 would have, if the maintenance, and honestly, it could have prevented about it. Did not, if the maintenance did their job really good and expected the engine, who knows? Maybe Flight 190 would have come to Los Angeles. Or maybe it could have been avoided. But sadly did not. Following, of course, I had to mention about you, but the Bureau of Alcohol and Drugs, or Federal Bureau, or the FBI, I should say, in the incident, and they pointed out it was terrible, but how NTSB, National Safety, concluded wasn't due to terrorism.
Excuse me, I would apologize to interrupt. It would be my bad. Drift, but
Wait, is someone here?
yeah, I think Dachi's here, Drift.
Okay.
But
Wait.
guys, you would not be able to believe this, but look what he says. He says that he hates JP and me and Alan. Well, I
For no reason.
Me and Alan? Oh no.
Let's not get everyone.
Can we
That is
please stick to the subject of the stream?
And also, if anyone replies to me like that, then they're gone.
Yes, anyways.
Can we please stick to the subject of the stream?
Yes, to the stream, guys. Okay.
Let's get to the stream, okay?
Flight 190. It remains the deadliest word disaster in American history. After the incident, there were new tensions and American Airlines because of maintenance. However, that's not the end of the story of American Airlines. You probably think that this incident was like a wake-up call to American Airlines, right? To improve safety on their flights, right? Sadly, no. That would not happen in 2001, and after the incident of American Airlines Flight 587, the plane that crashed in Queens, New York, 2 months and 1 day after the events of September 11.
What's up,
Honestly,
Michael? It's nice to meet you. My
story.
name is Amity. You can call me by my
Honestly, I might prefer I calling you
again,
as enemy.
Again, let's all just have a moment of silence to remember those 271 passengers that perished in the accident. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Okay, I think that's enough. That's already past 20 seconds. Actually, I counted my timer. Already 20 seconds already.
Well, I guess something like 15, 40, 30 seconds.
For me, it was 20 seconds. I started a timer.
Oh, okay.
To conclude this, American Airlines Flight 191. This incident could have been avoided, guys. This incident could have been avoided, but it sadly did not. But if you look in a positive side, even though this is one of the biggest disasters to ever happen in American history, but let's think about what the good thing came out of the outcome. Now we have new safety measures, and now American Airlines themselves are honestly getting better at making sure their passengers are safe, you know? Because an airline has to be responsible whenever an accident happens, you know? They have to make sure
They would have to do their job. And also, and one of the most important things, you need to check their engine and what condition they are. Because if the plane itself is in bad condition, then they would just have to cancel the flight too or delay it. Mostly cancel.
Yeah.
Because of the problems that
canceled.
plagued it.
But it could have been prevented though. That's all I can say. And
could have been protected. But the thing is, what would happen?
It just happened. Like, I'm not saying American Airlines themselves were the ones to blame. They just didn't realize what was going on until that incident happened.
Oh my god.
And I would say it was faulty maintenance. Yes, that was true.
Yeah, it was.
That it was the cause of the accident. Because engines don't just come off the plane just like that. There has to be some sort of lead to find out what exactly happened. But American Airlines themselves, they were
Honestly, Drift, I have the question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
What would happen if this predict the future?
Honestly, I just don't know. Honestly, with most aviation disasters, it's not usually crew error or anything. It has to be something with the pilots or something, because there are many incidents that happen due to maintenance problems. Actually, there were incidents that actually happened just before American Airlines 191 crashed, because earlier on, a Turkish airline actually crashed due to maintenance actually, and Turkish Airlines flight 19981 was actually the one that crashed, and it was due to maintenance actually, I think. Well, not exactly inflation, but it was an explosive decompression that happened on the plane, according to here. The explosive decompression, the plane suddenly lost, and it crashed into a field in France, in Fontaine-Chalice, outside France.
But keep in mind, Drift, I mean, we have every plane crash in some past.
Yes, every airline honestly has to do what they're doing. That's all I can say. Honestly, I have no question about it. I'm just very, very.
Remember the loss of the people who crashed into these planes.
Who perished? Actually, it's perished. Yes.
Yeah,
perished. That were perished in the accident, and
that was like perished.
I mean, they were innocent people, dude.
There was innocent people. I feel bad for them.
I mean, yeah, I also feel bad for the victims. You know, if the victims of American Airlines Flight 91 is watching, our heart goes out to you. Like, our heart goes out to you for the victims. I cannot imagine what you're going through.
Imagine what you're going through.
We are so sorry for your loss.
We're sorry for this.
Tragic.
For your loss, yes.
Tragic as hell to me.
Yeah. Tragic as hell.
The next aviation disaster we'll be talking about is the Tenerife airport disaster.
What?
Elisha, can you turn off the music? Because that's enough. Turn off the music.
What the?
Only play that music only when it's necessary.
Okay,
Elijah,
okay, 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 okay.
Bro, I'm teaching everybody.
What?
No, that's Alan's brother Angel.
Okay.
the next disaster we'll be talking about was the Tenerife airport disaster.
Oh, I heard of that incident actually. I
This
heard of that.
incident involved two Boeing 747s owned by KLM Airlines and also, I'm pretty sure it was Pan Am Airlines and KLM. This
Yes.
involved two Boeing 747s that collided with each other.
They collided with each other in the same runway. And honestly, Elisha, do you want to take the picture? Honestly, you probably want to see this picture actually.
It's
Rear
because
description advised where you're gonna see. This is where the incident happened. The plane it's just gone.
Oh
It's
my
like
god.
if someone just like with their hands like tossed them like toys. It feels like that plane was tossed by toys, and
Yeah, it really is because
just flipped on its side.
my honestly, what you're seeing here, it's look like the plane has been tossed like a toy. I mean,
Yes, it's been
it,
tossed by a toy. Yes, you
I
can
mean,
just tell
I
by.
mean, it's not even like a toy. I mean, this plane, you kind.
No, but
It's
like the
playing
metal
from
scrap and everything.
there's
Yes, yeah.
metal scrap. And what you can see
That
here,
is sad.
very sad.
this
Let us
incident
talk about that incident
this
actually, and
incident
we actually
involved
have an animation
And
right
then
here.
after we talk about this incident, I also want you may
That's fine.
also
Don't worry.
want
Don't
to
worry.
talk about another other plane incident they found, such as the
we've already started this
Transasia
incident.
Flight 235. Transasia Flight 235. Has anyone
Yes.
heard of that
Okay.
flight?
Anyways, what I'm gonna show you guys is an animation from a documentary. And disclaimer: we do not own the documentary. If you guys want to see the documentaries, I'll give Elisha the link to it, and you guys can see it yourself in the description below. Okay.
This
Now,
incident occurred
Yeah.
because a KLM flight departed while a Pan Am flight was still on the runway. This was because the driver believed that the runway that Pan Am flight was it
if you want to, we actually have the animation, and you can talk. We
Pan
can.
Am Pan Am flight 100,076 was still on the runway.
Elisha, would you please present the animation to everyone so everyone can know about the incident? Hello.
Okay, I will.
All right. Okay. Right here, you can see the planes. They were both 747s. That's all you can know. They were
This
both.
this occurred in 1979.
Both of them were owned by Pan Am, if I remember, or one of them was owned by Pan Am and KLM. I don't know the name of the airlines, but you can see everything normal in these planes. They were just heading towards the runway, right?
Pan Am was also a railway, but CSX bought Pan Am Railways.
Yeah, and then the plane sees the other plane, and look, they try lifting it up, right? But
Yeah.
right here you can see, and then
Boom.
Oh
my God.
the
That
plane
is one of the
slammed into the other
deadliest
plane.
crash right there.
Wreckage was thrown everywhere.
Oh my
And
God.
but
The
let's
way
talk
you
about
see
what
here,
exactly
the
Oh, so
plane just
Alex,
crashed
you also
another
need to
plane
put the
right here.
shock face. You need to
Yes.
put
That
the
is
shock
even
face,
more
and it would be
deadly.
your
As you
reaction
can see
As you
here.
can
how the
as you
plane
can see from the
crashed.
picture we showed you, the KLM flight was left in shambles. It was torn to pieces, as was the Pan Am flight.
Yes, it was. It was indeed. It was indeed. Um. Like.
Isaac said
Yeah. He has
if
a
he
question
wants
of
to
where is
ask
it?
you something really important. And then Alex said, "Bro, what happened to the airplane?"
Well, that's what we're
That's
gonna
my
talk
friend,
about.
my
Okay?
friend
There has to
Alex.
be a timeline preventing incidents that happen. Okay. Let's talk about the incident. Okay.
How?
Okay. The accident report. Division of aircraft to Los Radios. Both flights have been routine until they approached the islands at 13:15, actually, standard normal time. A bomb planted by the Special Caney Islands Independence Movement exploded in the terminal of Gran Canaria Airport, injuring 8 people. There was no yet a report of fatalities, but there is 8 people that were hurt. They were hurt, I should say. There had been a phone call warning of the bomb. which had been misunderstood as two bombs. The civilian aviation authorities had therefore closed the airport temporarily after the explosion, and all incoming flights bound for Grand Gora had been diverted to Los Radios. So the plan was supposed to be so the flights were changed. That's all I can say. Like one of them was supposed to go to Gran Canaria, but then it was diverted because of the bomb incident, and they were only headed to Los Radios or Los Rodeos. I don't know. I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. But anyways, here was the runway, like as you see in this diagram right here.
If only the bomb wasn't planted, the two plates wouldn't have collided.
And maybe the explosion wouldn't have happened either, dude. Trust me. Anyways, right here, you can see the runway right here. You can see both the KLM and Pan Am. They were both 747s, the biggest, largest plane in the world, and they were heading towards the runway. They were texting everything. And as a result, the plane was misguideline, I should say. Actually, it was actually misguided for some reason, and we don't know exactly what happened. But to me, it said it was a runaway collision. So I have to prove that there has to be some sort of air traffic control error, like human error that happened with controls with the air traffic controllers, or the ATC for short, like those people. Like I would say probably that's probably one of the reasons why it crashed. But people might say it was actually escalated, like real. Okay, what we have here, what we have is actually a conversation between the cockpit of one of the planes and the air traffic tower communications. And little disclaimer, we are not going to we're not going to use the audio recording, because remember, the cockpit voice recorders of these planes was never released to the public. But
Never did.
we do have a transcript, however. We have a transcript about it. So I'm going to read most of these stuff, and I'm going to change voices to let you guys know about who were the people on board.
I mean,
They have right here.
where do you get the transcript?
It could be anything, really. It's from resources I've done. I meant resources like internet,
Okay.
Like, yeah. Anyways, so we have.
Hello.
What?
What's up? Sorry.
Anyways, where were we? The transcript?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Guys, it was MS 8104 Lehigh Vale.
Bro, can you mute the mic, please?
Yeah, he was trying to talk.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll mute my mic.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, okay. So the transcript. Okay. KLM first officer completes pre-flight checklist. KLM flight 4805 is now at the end of the runway in position for departure. And you can hear in the audio, you can hear the first officer said, quote, "Wait a minute, we don't have an ATC clearance." He said, quote, "Wait a minute, we don't have an air traffic control clearance." This statement is apparently a response to an advancing of the throttles in the KLM. Yeah. So what happened was that the first officer was checking the throttles to see if they were working good. Then the captain actually said, "No, I know that. Go ahead, ask." And then on the radio, they say the KLM 4805 is now ready for takeoff, and we are waiting for air traffic clearance. Then the tower responded by KLM 8705. You are clear to the Papa beacon. Climb to and maiden flight level 90. Right turn after takeoff. Proceed with heading 40 until intercepting the 325 radio from Las Palmas VRO. And then the captain said, "Yes." Then the radio,
Yes.
then of course the radio happened, and it says, "Roger,
Excuse
sir.
me,
We
it
are
would be my
clear
bad to interrupt,
to the
but-
pop-up beacon, flight level 90. Right turn out 040 until intercepting the 325. We are now at takeoff or taking off."
Taking off?
and then the brakes were released. If you can hear in the audio, you can hear some sort of steam releasing kind of stuff, And it said the captain said, "We GAN, check thrust. We're going, check thrust." Then the engine acceleration audio bolt in the KLM cockpit actually go off. Then the tower radioed ahead saying, "Okay, stand by for takeoff. I will call you." Only the start of this message could be heard clearly by the KLMM crew due to radio interference. Then Pan Am captain said, "No, and we're still taxiing down the runway. The Clipper 1736. This message is not heard completely clearing by the KLM crew due to the radio interference. Papa Kalfa 1736. Report the runway clear. Okay, we'll report when we are clear. Thank you." This was and honestly, that message is the last message of the cockpit voice recorder, because after this last conversation, the cockpit voice recorder was dead. Like, that was the last message you would hear from the pilots alive.
Excuse me?
Flight 191 is so sad.
Excuse me,
Most of
Major.
these passengers.
What was that voice?
That was
Excuse me?
NS 108104.
Like, I'm sorry.
Is that your voice?
The Lehigh Valley.
Why are you
Heritage
sounding
Unit
like that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Lion, take some
Yeah, it is
tips.
kind
Why
of
is he
weird.
sounding like a bass, deep voice? Just like Bluto from Popeye the Sailor Man.
Lion, take some.
Sort of.
Sort of.
In the
Can we please
meantime,
keep looking
in a while, like after we talk about the second plane, which is KLM, we're gonna go back to the Pan Am flight. The captain, of course, says, "Let's get the hell out of here." He actually said that, no joke. He actually said that. "Yeah, he's anxious, isn't he?" Then the engineer responded by saying, quote, "Yeah, after he held us up for an hour and a half, that bastard, now he's in a rush." No joke, he actually said that. No joke. Right here, the transcript is right there. He said that. That's what the voice recorder said. That's the subtitles. I've subtitled most of the cockpit voice recorders. That's what he said. And he said this in French. The flight engineer said this, "Is Haishi night den?" In other words, he said, "Is he clear? Is he not clear then?" What CG? What ZG? That means, "What do you say?" And he goes, "Yup." Then the KLM flight engineer, "Is High Air Net F die Pan American? Is he not clear that Pan American?" I think that's German. I don't know. I could be wrong. Is that German? Because I think that's actually German. No joke. I mean, I can tell by the voice. It's definitely German. No joke. That's German. Anyways, the captain said, "Jol," or in other words, he said, "Oh yes." Then Pan Am captain sees the KLM's landing lights at approximately 700 miles away. And then the captain actually said this, "There he is! Look at him! God damn, that son of a bitch is coming! Get off! Get off! Get off!" And they started using the throttles. Like, you can hear they were like trying to get away because they see the incoming plane coming towards them. Like you see in this animation. Like, they were heading towards them and they see it and they try getting out of the way. Like, they try to prevent themselves from getting off the runways because they knew what was going to happen. And it goes, "Oh shit!"
It would be my bad to
"Oh,
interrupt,
goddamn."
but
And then,
Isaac said that he wants to join. Isaac said that he wants to join,
Well,
and he wants me to
Yes.
get Alan out.
yes, that's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said, Snoopy. Yeah.
Can I
And then
remove?
after the last
remove
yeah,
message,
just remove.
Alan
Yeah,
from
Elijah, you
the
might remove Alan.
the last message was,
Yeah.
"Oh,
No,
goddamn."
why me?
Well, because Isaac wanted to join.
Well, why not we just remove NS?
Oh yeah.
No, why me? Why me? Why me? Why me?
Don't worry.
Just
Fine,
turn the
really.
voice changer off.
Please change the voice changer, bro.
This is not a voice changer. This is my actual voice.
No,
Really?
it's not. It's not really your voice.
You're sounding like
I know,
Bluto
like,
or Brutus from
this
Popeye
is
the
not. This
Sailor
is not your voice. This is not.
Okay,
This is not a voice changer. I actually said that.
Honestly, I need to
Thank
talk.
you. It's just I have problems with my microphone. You see, I have problems. My microphone is very late. Of course,
You're being really disrespectful. We're meant to be talking about tragedies in the
I
air.
have to fix my microphone. Okay. I'll have to fix
Can you
microphone.
please be muted? Okay, can you please be muted, please?
Okay, I
Oh my
will.
god,
Okay,
that
I will.
voice was kind of off.
Thank you,
Pudding.
thank you. Okay.
Thank
After
you.
the last message, the captain's last message before the cockpit voice recorder actually cut off was, "Oh God, damn," and that's it. And then you can hear the collision. You can hear metal grinding and everything. What happened was the collision happened. After the crash happened, when the crash happened, they, according to the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR, the Pan Am captain said, "There he is," as I mentioned earlier, when he spotted the KLM's landing lights through the fog, just as the plane approached exit C4. You have to remember, the KLM aircraft, the one that was heading towards the Pan Am, was blocked because of fog, so he couldn't see anything. And when it became clear that the KLM was approaching at takeoff speed, Captain Grabs, the captain, he exclaimed, "God damn, that son of a bitch is coming!" While the first officer, Bragg, yelled, "Get off! Get off! Get off!" And Grubbs applied full power to throttles and made a sharp left turn towards the grass in an
Excuse me,
attempt
I'll
to
be right
avoid the
back. The
engine.
Isaac is DMing me to just tell Alan that that I'm removing him because Alan's dad doesn't want him
That's fine.
here.
By the time the KLM
No,
pilots
would
saw
it be
the
okay
Pan
if
Am
I remove
aircraft,
him?
they were already moving too fast to stop. In
Chuck,
desperation, the pilots
would it be okay?
prematurely rotated the aircraft nose upward in an attempt to clear the Pan
Hey,
Am by
Isaac.
lifting off, causing a 22 mil 72
Hey,
fit
what's up,
tail
Isaac?
strike, like a tail strike, from the back of the plane. The KLM 747 was within 100 meters, 330 feet of the Pan Am and moving at approximately 140 knots or 260 kilometers an hour, or 160 for short. When it left the ground, its nose landing gear cleared the Pan Am but its left side's engines, lower fuselage, and main landing gear struck the upper right side of the Pan Am's fuselage, ripping apart the center of the Pan Am jet almost directly above the wing. The right side engines crashed through the Pan Am's upper deck immediately behind the cockpit. Less is known about what exactly happened with the pilots on board, but I probably assume they were probably killed instantly from the collision, and probably some of them were either injured. But I could be wrong. So if you guys don't know, if you guys know about the pilots, what happened to them, please leave a comment below because I could be wrong.
I know what happened.
Okay. I mean, for me, I would say the pilots are probably dead because that was a tremendous impact after all.
Yes, everyone on the KLM flight died.
All the passengers. So how's the death toll up? What was the death toll then?
Everyone on the KLM flight died, even the pilots.
Elisha, I think it's time to play the sad music now, bro. Play that music now.
Okay, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay.
Okay, that's not how I did it. Okay, first of all,
And
I put a music now.
wreckage. Pieces of wreckage of the engine right here, as you see in this picture, Elisha. Piece of the engines.
Oh my god.
Pieces of what used to be the tail strike was imploded. The backside was also tore apart. You're probably thinking that no one survived after this incident, right? Well, sadly, out of the I'm sorry, I'm lost for words. I am lost
There
for
were
words.
70 survivors on the Pan Am flight.
In total,
Oh, actually, this is actually one of the worst aviation disasters in history.
Can you
yes,
please stop
It
using
really,
voice
really,
changer? It's
really, it really is
disrespectful.
one of the deadliest disasters right here.
out of all the passengers on board, 583 people perished, while 61 others were injured and survived. It's honestly a miracle that several people did manage to escape. It's honestly a miracle. There's no
Oh
doubt
my
about that.
god!
That was a miracle.
Wait, so they managed to escape?
Yes, 61 passengers. 61 passengers. Yes.
61 passengers?
Yes. They all survived. They were all from the Pan Am plane, though.
And
the
what
other
about
plane,
the
KLM,
what
they
about
were
the
all
other
instantly dead.
passengers? Okay.
They were instantly dead.
I feel bad for them. Really sad.
Yes.
Can you also change your profile pic to Penny from Chuck's as being said, Tugs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the same with you, Manuel. You should do the same with Libby Sad.
Okay, I'll try.
And also do Sam from Danny
Why
Phantom.
should you do it?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think this has to be an appropriate time
Oh my
actually.
God.
This is
Let's
very
have a moment
sad.
of silence for everyone on the KLM and Pan Am flight.
Yes.
Oh,
Change your
make
profile
sure
picture.
to be
I mean,
profile
I'm sad.
pictures are sad.
I'm doing it, bro. Chill.
I said silence. I said silent.
Silence, bro, please.
Okay, I think that's enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What the hell, Isaac? You said the N word.
Whoa, what? Yo, chill.
Just chill.
Okay. A memorial was built. It's been already. If I did the math good, it's already been like a few years since this incident happened, and a memorial was built to represent all the passengers that perished in the incident. And can you guys give me a minute? I'm sorry. I'm just. I'm kind of.
This was sad.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm kind
that?
of crying right now. I'm trying not to cry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, fine.
This is very sad how a lot of people have died in
And may you
just like
please
this is
not
actually one of the
stop.
deadliest aviation disasters in history. We're
Yes.
actually with 2 Boeing 747s that it has been very deadly with Pan Am, and I forgot the other one, but not buddy, everyone will always remember this wreck, and this is a very deadly disaster in the aviation community, and
Yes.
that we actually learn a lot of lessons about this disaster. It's while we have improved air traffic control, we have improved everything after this whole disaster. But we're going to take a moment of silence for these people who died in this disaster.
We already did silence to respect everyone. But thank you for your kind words. I guess we can say. Anyways, Elisha, would you please send a picture to everyone about this? Because I think everyone needs to see this. After the math of the incident, many victims were coffined, and many people were given flowers for all the coffins, all the passengers that died shortly after the accident. And anyways, in the wake-up call, after the incident, an investigation was launched. Not by NTSB,
This is the Nazis, graveyard.
Commission d'Investigation des Accidents de Indecent Aviation C, or CIAIC, or CIAIAC for short. About 70 personnel were involved in an investigation, including representatives from the US, Netherlands, and 2 airline companies, Pan Am and KLM. Facts showed that there had been misinterpretations and false assumptions before the accident. Analysts of the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder, transcript showed that the KLM pilot thought that he had been cleared for takeoff, while the Tenerife controller tower believed that the KLM 747 was stationary at the end of the runway, awaiting takeoff clearance. After investigation, the investigators concluded that the fundamental cause of the accident was that Ben Santon, the guy of the air traffic controllers, attempted to take off without clearance. Or I think it was one of the pilots. No, Ben Santon. Yeah, he was the KLM pilot. Yes, he was the KLM pilot because he attempted to take off without clearance. The investigators suggested the reason for this was the desire to leave soon as possible in order to comply with KLM's duty time regulations, which went in place earlier that year and before weather deteriorated further. I forgot to mention that there was a fog during the takeoff, so practically I would say it was the weather that caused the accident, but not exactly. I would say it was human error and bad weather that caused these two incidents. These two factors led up to the incident. Pilot error, air traffic control error, and bad weather. And the Dutch authorities were reclined to accept the Spanish report blaming the KLM captain for the accident. However, honestly, I don't see why they had to report the captain for the accident. I don't think he was blamed to be an accident. I think he was just trying to be like a normal pilot and just wanted to take off as soon as possible. But things didn't go exactly his plan, you know? That's what everyone says. Not all things can go according to plan or what you're thinking, because things can happen. What? Dude, no! Bro, this isn't a good time!
Whoa. Hey, everyone, no drama. No Adam drama, please. Friendly, so no drama, please.
No more.
Yeah, please, thank you.
Yeah, don't drama in a private chat.
Don't.
In the days following.
Okay, let's continue.
In the days following the incident, there were many measures taken to prevent an incident from this happening.
My heart goes up for families affected by this.
Yes. Sweeping changes were made into international airline regulations and to aircraft. Aviation authorities around the world introduced requirements for standard faces and a greater emphasis on English.
Back.
Okay. Air traffic acknowledged solely with a color phrase such as "okay" or even "Roger," which simply means the last transmission was received. But with a readback of the key parts of the instructions to show mutual understanding, the word takeoff is now spoken only when the actual takeoff clearance is given, or when canceling that same clearance, i.e., or clear for takeoff, or cancel takeoff clearance. Until that point, aircrew
Leo's in my yard.
Departure in its place, e.g., ready for departure. Additionally, an air traffic clearance given to an aircraft already lined up on the runway must be prefixed with the instruction, hold position. Cockpit procedures were also changed after the accident. Parachute relations
some haters because it works, so.
Yes. And greater emphasis was placed on team decision making by mutual agreement. Also known as, today, Crew Resource Management, CRM for short. That means not only the captain is responsible to flight, but it's also the co-pilot and the flight engineer, because they're both in the plane. They have to make decisions and work together as a team. Of course, CRM would be proof in a lot of aviation disasters, including the recent United Airlines Flight 232. That plane crashed, suffered an engine failure, and crashed into Salt Lake City in Utah.
Guy, the next incident we'll be talking about is indeed very upsetting, and the investigation actually took a very long time. We'll be talking about Pan Am Flight 103. This incident happened in Lockerbie in Scotland.
Yes, even that incident would also be known as the Lockerbie bombing, 1979. I'm correct.
The very sad thing is, 30 years later, they were still finding dead bodies from the flight.
I almost shared a tear for this.
Yes. Anyways, but let's look at the positive side, guys. Listen to the positive side. At least there were new changes to prevent incidents from happening like this ever again. Although measures were taken seriously, but it did give most aviation industrials, or in other words, aviation companies, more responsibilities to save everyone, because that's the thing. Aviations need to learn from mistakes and prevent them from happening ever again. All those passengers that died in this incident, the 561 souls, like their family victims, like their families, they might be watching this. So I want to say this to them: our hearts go out to your victims. Our hearts go on. Our hearts go on to you guys, because we couldn't imagine.
I think I hear gunshots outside my house.
Yes, yes. And if you're all watching this at home, we God bless you all. Okay, just God bless you all.
God bless
Okay?
you all.
Also,
Yeah, God.
this music,
Turns out
it kind of sounds like from Minecraft.
No, bro. Okay.
Turns
Elijah,
out
would you stop the music, please? I think
someone
Yeah,
had,
stop the
it
music.
turned out someone had brought a bomb onto the plane and it detonated 38 minutes after takeoff.
And
There is this music does sound like Minecraft, but Minecraft doesn't sound like this.
Hey guys, Elijah, can you turn off the music?
Okay, I already did
Okay.
it too.
Okay. So, what do I think about this incident? Do I think this incident was the worst? I would say yes, because it had more casualties than Flight
Yeah, it
191.
really is the worst.
It had more casualties than Flight 191 compared, honestly. Anyways,
Actually, I just learned the bomb was planted, not taken on.
yes. Anyways, what we're gonna talk about is actually an incident that happened in the year. Let's see, in the year of 1988, if I'm correct.
And Elijah, you know what's ridiculous?
What happened?
The bomb was in a cassette player.
Yeah, we'll talk about that right now. We'll actually talk about
Whoa! I don't think it's a good time to talk
okay,
about that.
everyone. I want everyone
Let's not
to
talk about
We
that,
could talk
okay?
about
Let's
that.
not talk about that. We gotta talk about the Leos, okay? That's not good, okay? Yeah.
yes,
And that's
right here.
dangerous.
Yes, I know.
I am talking about the flight though.
Yes, he's talking about another aviation disaster that we're going to talk about, and it is the Pan Am Flight 103. You probably might not have heard of it, but there's a lot of controversy even to this day. But we know. But to me, I've done a lot of documentaries. I've seen documentaries, and I know exactly what really happened on this plane. And Elijah, would you please show everyone how the plane crashed? Please, share your screen. Right here in this picture that you'll see right now, it is Pan Am Flight 103.
Yes, that is the actual flight. That was a model that I believe crashed into United Kingdom, I believe.
Yes,
After it took off from
it was
Heathrow.
outside of
Yes.
Scotland. It was
And-
Scotland.
Yes, it was a
Manuel.
747 that took off. Yes.
Yes.
Manuel,
Yes.
want to know what's ridiculous?
What's ridiculous about this incident?
The man, they hid the bomb in a cassette player. It was a time bomb inside of a cassette player.
I see. Okay. Well, anyways, we'll get to that part. Don't worry. Don't.
I'm not.
That information could be useful. Okay. That information could be useful. Thank you, Snoopy. Thank you. Anyways, what we're gonna talk about is the Pan Am Flight 03. But let's not take a picture from this. Let's not talk about this picture of the plane crashing. But we're gonna talk about the plane itself just before the accident happened, just before the incident. Right here is Pan Am Flight 103. Pan Am Flight 103 was a 747. And you already know what 747 is, guys, right? You guys know what 747s are, right? The most recognizable plane in the entire world.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Anyways, Elisha,
And
would you please show it to everyone, the
My
picture of
friend
the Boeing
Alex
747, please?
came here in the
Right here.
live, in the private chat.
This right here is a Boeing 747. One of the most recognizable planes in history.
Wait, who's Lil Bean? Who
He
said who were the pilots?
pilots? Okay, the pilots, we're going to get to
And he
that,
says
okay?
that I'm Jewish,
Oh.
bro.
The Boeing
Okay.
747.
Yes, the 747 is one of the biggest planes of the world.
It really is.
Brandon.
Oh, I
A
wish I
Boeing
could
747
be aboard
like
that
this
plane.
doesn't need to be an introduction, honestly. We already know what a 747 is, right? Right, guys? You guys know what a Boeing
Yeah,
747 is?
I mean,
You
I
don't need
wish I
introduction
could be
then.
aboard of that one of the biggest plane. If I
It
mean,
is the
the
biggest
thing
plane of
is,
the
I
world.
never board a plane.
I mean, I never boarded a plane, but the only planes I always board. I mean, I was a little kid. I remember I went to Disney World on a plane, so it was a 737, I would say, because it's a 2-engine plane. I remember.
Oh yeah.
Wait, when
Yeah.
was the
I
last
was
time you
born
went there?
on a plane
Oh, that.
too.
Bro, it was back then in like 2010. I don't know, 2010. I think.
I remember a bunch of planes that I remember riding on, even when I was going to Mexico or
I was scared
Arkansas.
of planes, honestly. If I remember, I was actually kind of scared of planes.
Oh,
I'm afraid of heights. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not scared of planes. I just think
Okay, so
planes are
Well,
cool.
anyways,
sometimes I
let's
can
talk
be
about the
yeah,
incident in
I'm
general,
also
okay?
scared of planes too.
Let's talk
Because
about the
some
aircraft before we get to.
let's
The
talk about it.
aircraft operating was Pan Am Flight 103, was a Boeing 747, which we already discussed. It was registered as November 739 Bravo Aviation, or I don't know, or NC N739 PA. And name of course, they also named it quote the Clipper made of the seas. Prior to 1979, it had been named Clipper Morning Light. It was the 15th 747 built and was delivered in February 1970, 1 month after the first 747 entered service with Pan Am. In 1978, as Clipper Morning Light, it appeared in, quote, fourth episode in the TV documentary called Diamonds in the Sky was actually produced by Julian Peterfer, if I pronounce his name right. Okay, now that we know about the plane, let's talk about the flight. Pan Am 103 originated as a feeder flight at Frankfurt Airport, West Germany, using a Boeing 727 and flight number PA 103A. Both Pan Am and TWA, or Trans World Airlines, routinely changed the type of aircraft operating different legs of a flight. PA 103 was bookable as either a single Frankfurt New York or a Frankfurt Detroit internally through a scheduled change of aircraft took place in London's Heathrow Airport. After the bombing, the flight number was changed in accordance with standard practice among airlines after disasters. Within days, the Frankfurt, London, New York, Detroit route was being served by Pan Am Flight 3 until the company's DIMS in 1991. On the cockpit, the front fuselage of the plane was some pilots, and according to some according to some according to some resources I done, the pilot's name wasn't never mentioned in this documentary. Actually, we don't know exactly the names of the pilots or how much flight they actually were. But if someone knows,
Who's the pilot?
if someone knows the names of the pilots of
Who's the
Pan Am Flight
pilot?
103, please leave a comment below because we don't know exactly who they are. But we're not gonna say lies, okay? So I really don't know who were the names of the pilots, and none of my resources tell me anything. So that's honestly mysterious, honestly, that we don't know the pilots' names. That's kind of weird. Does anyone know? I mean,
I know
anyone?
the pilots' names.
Oh, okay. Well, speak.
The pilot was Captain James B. McCurry.
hmm Were there any more flight? Okay, question. Were there flight engineers or
Was
a
he an
co-pilot?
amateur?
Yes.
The
Okay,
flight
so
the flight was under command of Captain James B. McCurry.
any first officer? Like any first officer, flight engineer? I mean, there has to be some sort of flight engineer.
Was there multiple captains at the time? Like, was it uh, did they have like routines? Like, did they switch at all?
They usually wear what normal captains always wear: a white shirt, white uniform shirt, black tie, and black
Hey,
pants.
I'm sorry. I'm
flight
sorry to
engineer as
interrupt
well.
you, but that is not my question. That is not my question here.
Oh, what was your question then? Oh, what was your question?
Didn't you hear what I said? Like, did they
One
switch
second.
positions or anything like that? Like,
Switch positions? Not exactly.
yes.
If I remember, if I recall.
Like, did they take turns? Like, did they take turns, kind of?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I've done some digging. Okay. Yes, there was.
Not between the co-pilot and the captain, but the other pilots, if you know what I'm talking about.
Can you please stop using that voice changer?
Yes. I know. I know what he's
It
saying.
is not a voice.
Yes, there were some. Yes, there were some. There were some.
I
Some
know the
sort
name.
of trend.
Well, from Kentucky, so it's not a whooshing.
Yes.
I know the name of a flight engineer.
Okay. All right.
It's a 46-year-old man called Jerry D. Averitt.
Okay. And a first officer, the co-pilot. the second pilot. And
I'll check.
Was he the emergency flight record? Or oh, he was a character.
yeah. Anyways, so the captains were, of course, what Snoopy said, and we're gonna learn about the first officer, who was the co-pilot, because you can't fly a 747 without pilots.
I know the first officer. It was a 52-year-old called Raymond R. Wagner.
Okay, all right. So there were 3 crew members. There were 3 pilots in the 747. So there were 3. Okay. Of course, before we talk about it, we need to talk about exactly what happened on the plane. So as I mentioned earlier, the plane was bound for New York. It was bound.
The airline was Pan Am, right?
Yes, Pan Am. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyways, departure. On its arrival at Heathrow Terminal 3 on the day of the disaster, passengers and their luggage, as well as an unaccompanied suitcase, which was part of the interleg luggage on a feeder flight, was transferred directly to Clipper Maid of the Seas, who previously flight had originated from Los Angeles and arrived via San Francisco.
Someone had planted a plastic bomb inside of a cassette player and brought it onto the plane inside of a suitcase.
Yes. But we'll get to that in a bit. Right now, we need to talk about the unknown luggage. So it was clear that there was an unknown luggage. No one owned it. No one claimed it.
What is it? What is an unknown luggage? What is an unknown luggage? What did it have? What was inside the luggage?
Luggage. Okay. Let's talk about it. Unknown luggage is where someone actually stores a luggage, but they don't board the plane. That's how it was.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that, what was inside the luggage? Even though it was an unknown luggage, it was going over the plane, what did it have inside? Did it have bombs, any nuclear stuff, or any of that type of stuff?
No, not exactly. No, they didn't predict those kind of stuff at the time, I would say, if I'm right. That was not how it was back then.
It wasn't like that.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly like anything like this, but here's where things get worse, okay? So the unmanned luggage was actually we don't, and there's still a lot of theories of who owned it, but we'll get to that in a bit.
I know the owner of it. I googled
it. Okay. All right. Who was it?
Let me get the information first. I'll tell you in a second.
Yes.
It was a man called Abdul Bassett.
Okay. I see. Okay. That name would be of course iconic, honestly. This would be something. This would be a key factor into the disaster. Anyways, let's talk about the departure. So as I mentioned earlier, that it previously flown from Los Angeles and arrived at San Francisco, and the plane which operated the flight's transcontinental leg pushed back from the terminal at around 8:04 p.m. and took off from runway 2.
You didn't say that right, by the way.
Yeah.
You didn't really say that right. What you said wasn't really right. It didn't really make sense. I'm not trying to really credit it or anything like that, but it's just it wasn't right.
Yes.
Not trying to bully you. Just say it.
No. You're correct. We're all human.
Just trying to correct you, okay? I'm sorry.
Human too, okay?
I know, but as a person myself who actually studies English, really fellas actually they really make sense. But I'm just not trying to bully you here, but just making sure, right?
All right.
Continue talking. You're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Anyways, so as I mentioned earlier, the plane was bound for New York, and then when they're heading to Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport. In other words, in contrary to many popular accounts.
Okay. You said I went to San Francisco?
Yes. The flight, which had scheduled gate departure time at 1800, left Hartwood Airport on time. So it was a routine plane. It took off on time, and it was good.
So why is that information that we consider? That's not information.
Go ahead.
What's a purpose of mentioning the detail of going to San Francisco, and if nothing happened there, like it wasn't like
Well,
no,
there
like
was
nothing
there was
crashed.
some sort of there was some sort of change of plans. Like the plane involved, the 747 wasn't supposed to be used there. It was supposed to be a 727, if I remember correctly. They changed planes because the 727 had some sort of problem with its
Yeah,
engine
some
and had to
problems.
be postponed.
Yeah, so it kind of been a faulty maintenance kind of like what happened to the DC-10 on Flight 191. It was a faulty
Yes,
maintenance. One of the engines fell off. Yeah, the DC-10, you got to remember, it was a faulty maintenance aircraft. It wasn't built right. There are a
exactly.
couple of flights where I had disasters in. That's why it's nicknamed the Death Craft,
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
because
Yes.
it killed people. It was not made right. It had a couple of issues with it.
It had design flaws. That's all I can say. It had
It
design
was
flaws.
faulty. It was faulty maintenance. That's what it
Oh,
was.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Faulty maintenance. There was problems with the baggage source, problems with a whole bunch of stuff with the BC-10. And McDonnell Douglas and Lockheed Martin, they really did a good job on BC-2. Whoops, I couldn't buy it. The
Also,
747 for Boeing, they did a wonderful job on that. But back in the days, the 747 was not, it wasn't really a good aircraft because it was like the DC-10. There were some aircraft that had faulty maintenance, and that's what caused some flights to go wrong. And sometimes it will be like this one flight or the 747 took off, started stalling, and then the engine blew up. And yeah, it's back then they had faulty maintenance, but right now they're doing a very good job, just like Airbus. So
Okay.
yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. And yes. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So Pan Am actually was heading towards another place, and it was actually contacted with, because remember the plane took off from San Francisco in the morning, and then it was heading towards New York John F. Kennedy Airport. But however, the 747 actually took off
I shared the video for you too.
from British. Yes, it was from the UK
It
actually.
was from
And
England.
at this moment, it is
Were there
around
any distressful with communication?
yes in a communications tower at 1858, or in other words, it's probably like around 9:58 p.m. nighttime, and it was heading towards the
And
oceanic
what was mentioned?
area control. Yes, oceanic area control. The captain was in frequency with one of the controllers in a two-way radio.
Yo,
Like he got contacted with two-way radios because the plane was still flying in the Atlantic Ocean. You had to remember. And
yeah, I know.
according to some researches that I've done, the
So
plane.
what are they talking about? I really hope like.
Yes, yes. Anyways, the plane, the plane in question, of course, it was a 747. But here's where things go stop. That's the thing. Remember, it was actually heading.
Why are
It
you
actually
repeating
departed from
information?
London. Actually, it departed from London, and then it was heading towards to John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, United States. That was his destination. The flight originally was from Frankfurt, West German, as I mentioned earlier. Then it would stop over at Heathrow Airport in the UK.
Kids
And then,
out.
yeah, United Kingdom. Bro, it's the same thing. Okay, United Kingdom, but yeah. And then it would depart from John F. Kennedy Airport, and then after it leaves John F. Kennedy Airport, it goes to Michigan, to Detroit Metropolitan Airport, Michigan. And as it's still heading towards the area, remember it departed from London, and it was still airborne. It was still airborne at this time, and like, and also the date that it took off was right here, December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. 4 days before Christmas. So I would expect probably there were family victims that were heading towards other countries to visit their loved ones for the holidays. And Christmas stuff. Enjoy your family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I always enjoy my family during Christmas.
However, not all things was gonna go according to the plan, because right here, the plane was heading towards, like, it's reached its cruising altitude, and it looks normal, right? It looks normal.
Yeah,
Looks like
it
the
looks
plane's gonna make
normal.
it.
I mean, it looks pretty normal.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
but
out.
disaster would strike within minutes, and Elijah, time to play that music again because it's very depressing, honestly. Also, viewer discretion is advised. If you guys are younger, please please have a parent with you because we do not want to scare everyone. Okay, we don't want to scare
We don't
young
want to
people.
scare
Okay?
anyone. I mean,
Yeah. So
Um,
please,
we don't want to scare
Well,
anyone.
I recommend
this
you guys.
film may come any graphics images that will have any minors or any people under the
Yeah,
age of
but
13.
I don't think everyone should see it because they might terrify them. So we don't want to do
If
that.
it's very bloody, then don't show it. If it's very full of gore, then don't show it.
No, it's not exactly gore, but it's just a
Guys,
recreation of the animation.
one
So,
note,
Alexa, you're playing the music. We gotta play the
one
music.
note's really depressing.
Yes.
A 7-week-old baby died on this flight.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll get to that.
before we continued, what was the original problem? What caused this problem?
Yes, we'll get to that in a bit. Okay. So, Elisha, would you play the music, please? Because we need to play the music in order for everyone to understand what exactly happening. Elisha.
They hit the Twin Tower.
Oh, okay. Um,
You don't
Okay.
need music, you need words.
yeah, honestly. So what we decided to do is that I found an animation from a video. So I recommend you guys, if you guys want to know the story about this plane, I recommend you guys search some documentaries. Search some documentaries, and you might find it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the plane seemed routine, right? Everything is normal,
Yeah.
like it's just cruising, but then suddenly this happens.
It break half.
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
my
it broke
god,
off
hit
like
the Twin
this.
Towers.
Yes, it broke off.
It really broke
Bits
off.
of plane debris crashes over the island of Scotland in Lockerbie,
There's a
Scotland.
CGI
Oh my
made.
God. I mean, it looks CGI. I mean, it looks
They
like a
hit
Right
the,
mirror.
here,
oh
look.
my god, they hit the Twin Towers.
It looks like a mirror or something. Oh my God. The way how plane crashed it will be on fire. The way how plane
What
was
just
like on
happened?
flaming and it hit the
What
ground.
just
It looked like a
happened?
mirror.
What just happened was the plane exploded.
We saw what
It
happened.
exploded. The
Hey,
plane.
we saw what happened.
Yes.
They broke down in the midair. So we already know what happened. You don't really have to say because we saw what happened. The video showed it all. The CGI
Yes,
effect showed it
the
all.
video showed everything.
Yeah, so you can just explain what happened after, you
Isaac,
know.
The way how the plane
the animation you presented is actually
Okay,
inaccurate.
okay, guys.
Yes.
So would it be a good
Hey,
time
hey,
to
hey,
add
hey.
music?
I'm trying to talk.
Music?
I was trying
Yes, please. Well, we
Look,
actually put the music.
Yeah.
to, trying to
Isaac.
describe what
right now.
what really happened with the accident,
Music.
okay?
The animation you showed is actually a bit inaccurate. The plane was blown to about 1 million pieces, not just 3.
Right here, we
It's
actually have a
CGI made.
diagram of how the plane actually crashed here. We actually
It's
have
CGI made, so it's
because
really
the plane
accurate.
actually investigated, actually. The investigators found
What's
out
the
how
science
plane
behind
broke
it?
up. Here's the plane breakup, Elisha, would you please put the picture?
Honestly, I was gonna.
Why did it blow up on the first place?
Well, that's where the things. Well, that's where.
Please.
Well, we'll get to that in a bit. We'll get that to the bit.
I was
Elisha,
trying to say this. Look, I was gonna say this.
I will.
You just showed
Oh my God, you
us.
didn't let me talk.
no, but
Okay.
like the CGI animation, people say it was actually inaccurate, and that's kind of true. It is kind of a bit accurate, but
Yeah, it
here's
was
how
a
the
bit-
plane
It
broke
was.
up. Like the cockpit was broke up first, the first class cabin, the back fuselage of the plane, the tail was
I
broken
think I'm
up.
gonna
Like you
go
can see
now.
those lines.
Bye.
You can see those lines.
Is Alex still here so that
I
I
know
can
my clear part because I work for Big Sky Aviation, so I know
Alex
everything.
still here so you
And
can
then
add
at
him
around,
in there?
at
So
around,
add
at around.
Alex in here, Elijah.
Shut up!
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to. I'm saying it to Alan.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. After the plane crashed, many air traffic controllers were finding out the plane. They were finding the plane's. They were trying to find the plane because the plane's transponder, the squawk, disappeared on their radar, and they can't find the plane. They contact the flight with no response. Then, a loud noise from the recorded cockpit voice recorder at around 19:02 50 seconds, 5 radio echoes fanning out appeared instead of 1. Comparison of the cockpit voice recorder to the radar returns showed that 8 seconds after the explosion, the wreckage had a nautical mile or 1.9 kilometers spread. A British Airways pilot flying to London to Glasgow shuttle near Closlet called Scottish
What is
authorities.
those of them the boss for the immediate crowd?
Yes, yeah. He told air traffic controllers what will happen, and he saw fire from over.
What's the
down there.
immediate response to the crash after the whole plane counted as toaster?
And you have to remember, it was around midnight at the time when the plane crashed, so many people were still sleeping actually, and they saw the fire and explosion. And I mean, it was an impact after all, so maybe people felt the vibration, they felt the explosion.
That's what we saw.
Yes, that's what you guys saw in the CGI. In the
I mean, it
animation.
was CGI. Trev, I didn't get to talk. I mean, the way how the plane catches fire and then hit the ground, hit the city, blow up, it looked like a mirror or something.
So really, that fiery crash that caused the fire.
I mean, yes, but anyways.
I work for the Big Sky Aviation.
Yes. Within minutes, however, rescue workers arrive at the scene, including firefighters, police, and many paramedics arrive at the scene to find out what exactly happened. But once they headed towards the site, they didn't see anything but just bodies.
Hi, Alex.
All 243 people and 16 crew members on board the plane were dead, as well as 11 residents on the ground. In total, 270 people were killed. 190 of them were Americans, according to here. 190 were American citizens, and 43 were British citizens. 19 other nationals were represented, with 4 or fewer passengers per country. The captain, first officer, and flight engineer, and flight attendant, and several first-class passengers were found.
You just mentioned them, but they're dead.
But they're still strapped. That's the thing. They were still strapped inside the nose section when it crashed in thunder.
We don't really need to know where the body is, though.
Yes.
Like where they died, because everyone cares about what happened to the people, but not really where their graveyard is because it's kind of the least of telling. But know that these people were not they're just citizens, and they are the people on the flight. But we still don't need to know their about.
Yes, but a flight attendant was found alive by a farmer's wife, but however she died later because of the fire and smoke, and she was dead. She passed.
Did that person make a testimony?
She was badly burned. That's the thing.
She's sadly burned.
She was badly burned. She was badly burned over 80% of her body.
So if she wasn't burned in the first place, how did she survive there?
About 4 hours maybe before the ambulance came, and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. So about hours or so.
How do you find someone alive when they died after?
Well, she was hurt.
From the smoke. Yeah, but from the smoke.
Yes, smoke. Yeah, she died from the fire. The fire consumed their body, and she died from smoke inhalation.
They just completely died, so.
Yes. 35 of the passengers were actually students from Harvard University who participated in the University Division of International Programs.
Was the black box found where the flight recorder is? Was it ever found? Those things are very indestructible. So was it ever found that we get recorded of the flight?
Many of their bodies were found, but they were found in a roast bank and about a half a mile away from the crash. The rear fuselage of the plane were had destroyed one of the houses in Crescent, 71 Park Place. Of resident Ella Redems, who survived. The bodies of 2 of the students were never recovered. I have no
like charcoal.
Yes.
Oh, what's that?
I'm sorry. I'm just lost for words. by morning, was the investigation was launched. Investigate. The initial investigation into the crash site of dump fires and Galloway Country Road involved many helicopter surveys, satellite imaging, and a search of area by police and soldiers. The wreckage of the crash was scattered over 2,000 square kilometers away, or 770 square meters, and 80 investigators were confronted by a massive jigsaw puzzle in trying to piece the plane together. In total, 4 million pieces of the wreckage were collected registered on computer files. More than 10,000 pieces of debris retrieved, tagged, and entered into a computer tracking system. But to investigators, this was no
Well, they
accident.
then calls to the authorities knowing the moment of the crash.
Yes. Yeah.
Because those people are rather than dead people.
Yes. Anyways, guys,
Yes.
I mean, we're streaming for like 1 hour 3 minutes right here.
hold on, guys, hold on. I'm lost for words, okay? Investigators found out that the incident of the cause of the crash was a deliberate act of terrorism. Yes. Apparently, what Snoopy said earlier was that someone placed a bomb in the baggage. Remember I said that there was an unscanned baggage in the plane? Well,
Yeah.
it was a bomb. It was a homemade bomb.
Oh my god,
Yes.
it was a bomb.
A homemade bomb in a cassette. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
That was a bomb?
Yes, it was a bomb. It was a
Those
bomb.
little bomb, he didn't mention that. He just told us about the crash.
Yes. But the bomb was the resource of what happened to the plane. After they died,
I mean, like, if that's the explain like what caused it before the event of the crash, or
there were bomb damage inside the plane, led to investigators that found out that it was the result of an explosion, but they didn't know what it was until they found of the luggage. The luggage was intact, and the cassette was still actually, to this day, this cassette is still partly damaged, but it was still recovered nonetheless.
it was one bombing.
Yes, it was the bomb. Yep, the cassette player was the bomb. Yes.
And it's okay for the bomb of like who did it.
Yes. It's still unknown who. Investigators actually found out who it was. They later identified as a man named El Mashiha. And for those who don't know, he was
Well,
the
really,
reason-
they can
on January 31st, 2001, Margaret was convicted of murder by a panel of 3 Scottish judges and sentenced to life imprisonment. But Freeman was acquitted, however. Ventura's appeal against his was refused on March 14th, 2002, and his application to the European Court of Human Rights was declared inadmissible in July 2003. On September 23rd, 2003, Micro applied to the Scottish Criminal Cases Review Commission, or SCCRC, for his conviction to be appealed. On June 28th, 2007, the SCCRC announced its decision to refer the case to the High Court of Justice in Edinburgh, after he found he, quote, may have suffered miscarriage of justice. Merhel was served just over 10 years in beginning of April 5th, 1999. First in
I don't think he said that.
and later in
Is this an article that you're reading?
Yes.
Okay. We're just making sure because it's like it's trying to sound like you're on words here, but if here's an article that actually has a lot of information, just so you know. But don't describe it with your own words, because that's kind of like BS. Because that if it show like what actually happened. But I appreciate you might read the article. You're doing a very good job, by the way.
Okay. Receiving some articles and some books that I actually read about Pan Am, actually, an investigation. I actually collect some books and I'm reading them from recent documentaries to articles. I always try doing that. Anyways, however, it's still unknown to this day how the baggage got into the plane. But after this incident, there were many.
Was this before or after 9/11?
Yes. And nowadays, planes cannot take
Because
off.
9/11 changed everything. It changed security. It changed T-Shaver. All airport security was changed after 9/11. So this probably happened before 9/11.
Wasn't of a huge deal back then, but then ever since the events of September 11, 2001, that was changed because of that day, because of what happened that day. You already know the story.
You don't have to say the whole day. You just say 9/11. Yeah, you just say 9/11 to start with.
Yes. He isn't like an engineer who did 9/11 though, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, because he was the engineer.
The 9/11.
Yes, the attacks, yes. But anyways, yes, you all heard that clear. This incident happened because of a result of terrorism. A coward.
Oh my god, the terrorist attack.
A coward that wanted to kill millions of people.
Oh my god, those poor people.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, not to mention, because of that happened, many people made a tribute to it. Especially, not to mention, some of the kids show also do the same thing, like Arthur at Cemetery, for example.
Yeah, I know, I get you. But I don't think this is the right time though, because.
Okay.
However, you're probably thinking that this is the last time that there has been a bombing incident, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, no.
What?
Sadly, no. There will be more later incident bombings, including the Philippines Flight 447 incident that happened. And this was caused by Ramzi Youssef, the guy that did the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. He was later caught, however, and stayed in a Colorado prison.
I was that in Geo or America or somewhere.
Yeah, he attacked.
But Triff, I got one question.
Yes.
Does 9/11 change?
What was the area?
And as I'm talking to Triff here.
According to the area, it was right here in Scotland, Lockerbie, somewhere between Ireland. In Ireland is where it crashed. It happened in the island next to the UK. The little small island in the UK. It was right there in Ireland. The little small island right there in Europe, right there. That's where it happened. Measures were taken after this incident. Now they have security measures, but however, those security measures were false. Like, they didn't do that much to prevent terrorists laden. But that would change in the year 2001, where it changed many lives and everyone that day.
It really changed everything.
Yes.
So Trev, I got one question. So did 9/11 change everything?
Yes.
9/11 changed everything. 9/11 changed security. 9/11 changed everything. It changed the security for our airports. It changed everything.
Yes, it changed everything, actually, guys. It actually changed a bit. I'm not joking. I'm not joking at all. It actually changed everything. It changed airport
really
security.
Is. That's the reason why people were acting well.
People don't talk to each other. That's the thing. 9/11.
People don't talk to
who you're talking to. Like, who knows who you're talking to? It could be someone dangerous, like a terrorist.
Yeah. That's why my dad, my mom always wanted to protect me from strangers.
Yeah, I know,
That's
because
why they
of
learned
9/11. It changed everything, bro. It changed national security, for example. It changed everything.
Yeah.
No words. In the end, there was a memorial
because this is the 21st century.
Yes, 20th century. Yes, bro.
The 21st century.
And here's what things get bad. Okay. And it's already been so many years since this incident happened, and a lot of people don't talk about this incident, and it's pretty sad that no one knows about this incident that was related to them. But there were lessons learned, though. I mean, not airport security wasn't.
What do you mean by many years? Like, what do you mean by many years? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, if it was up in the 1980s.
Yes, in the 1980s. Yes, it was. Because I didn't.
Okay, so where's the thing? This is not many years. Many years will be serving long time ago. But no, 9 years is not many years. That's really something else.
But also, there were other measures just before 9/11. Prior to 9/11, prior to 9/11, security measures were honestly with metal detectors, because back then in the 80s, remember, we didn't have metal detectors like we have today. Like, there were metal detectors that were placed in airport security, and of course baggage search were also implemented too, to prevent a terrorist to happen again in aviation history. Though sadly, though, that would still happen though in 2001, however, so we don't have to talk about
Excuse me,
no.
Griff.
Yeah. Yes.
It would be my bad to interrupt. I also added another sad emotional music. It's called, let me make this literally clear. It's called Claire de Lune Ethereal Remix.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
also this audio that was used from TikTok too. From whatever.
Can we have a moment of silence, please? Let's have a moment of silence, please, for all the victims that
Yeah,
died in this incident.
we have to a moment of silence right here.
Yes, please.
That's your
Mute
moment.
your mic. Okay, I think it's already past 20 seconds. I think it's time, guys.
I think it's time that we move on to another topic.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Here's obviously your road, there's all clear. So, yes, it's time for us to move on to another topic.
Sorry, didn't say hi to you guys. How you doing, guys?
Oh, hi, Alex. How you doing, man? What's
I was
up?
muted for a while. I didn't talk.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We love you, dude. Welcome.
Elisha, it's time to turn down the music, please. Turn it down. Turn it off.
All right, turn on the music. Turn the music up.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Honestly, this incident could have been prevented. Like, it couldn't, actually, I said.
It really
It
did.
couldn't. It couldn't. And because, like, how would you think you can stop a terrorist from doing something that they're going to do and they're going to kill millions of people? That's impossible.
That's impossible.
You cannot have enough FBIs. You cannot have enough police to protect yourself from these attacks. It's impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. I mean, but think about it. If 9/11 didn't happen, what was going to happen to us?
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe a new generation or something. I mean,
maybe.
But like, no. Let's not talk about 9/11, please. Let's just talk
Okay,
about
sorry.
the Pan Am flight bomb.
Speaking of 9/11, everyone might have to do an AMV music video of the 9/11 memorial too.
Yes, we don't have to talk about 9/11 because 9/11 does not count of aviation disasters. It does, but we already know how
I'm
it
gonna
happened.
do a separate video. I'm gonna do a separate video of it.
Yes. Anyways, there is one more plane we want to talk about. Actually, there is one more aviation disasters that's honestly the worst of them all. Actually,
the worst, the absolute worst.
Yes, and honestly, in this incident, it's still controversial even to this day. Like, there's no real life there's still like many theories of what exactly happened of this incident, but we're gonna know about this incident, okay? And it is Transworld Airlines Flight 800. This incident.
It was this. Another.
So should I play the Claire de Lune
the Trainworld Airlines, which is another boarding 747 plane.
Yes, Alex. Yes,
I will.
Tux, stop. Elisha, were you saying something?
So when I play the Claire de Lune Ethereal remix, this emotional one?
Yes. Yes. Anyways, this is the last one, and then that's it. Okay, we call it a day. Okay. Transworld Airlines TWA 800 was an incident that happened over New York, Long Island. How is this worse, you might say? Well, it's not worse, but it did lead up to some conspiracies to this day, which we're not going to talk about. Those conspiracy theories, if you guys want to see them, I recommend you guys search up this incident in the documentaries, and they'll tell you exactly what conspiracies were there. But we're not going to be entertaining those conspiracies, okay? What I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the incident, how it happened, why it happened, and what measures they took to prevent this incident that claimed the lives of 230 people's lives. New York, John F. Kennedy Airport, July 17th, 1996. Security is tight in New York's busiest airports in the world, John F. Kennedy Airport. It was a normal hot summer Wednesday that evening. John F. Kennedy Airport was in hub of Transworld Airlines, or TWA for short. TWA is actually a long defunct airline, but at one point they were one of the busiest air carriers in the United States. It competed with many other airliners like Delta and American Airlines themselves. The Boeing 747, and of course, in the 90s, the Boeing 747s were given to Transworld Airlines by Boeing.
Which was take place in July 17, 1996.
That's what I said. Yes, I said the dates, dude. Transworld Airlines Flight 800 actually, on July 17th of that year, 1996, it flown from Athens, Greece to New York, and then it just arrived around 4 o'clock p.m. Normal time. However, the 747 is old. It is 25 years old. Very old, and this plane was ready to be taken out of service. So, with that said, let's talk about the flight crew. According to the accident report, here is what the crew on board the plane were. According to my research I've done, this is where the crew were here. Hold on, sorry guys. It's just my mic's not working that good. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Anyways, the plane, the pilot. Let's talk about the pilots. The pilots were, of course, the following. The crew was led by 58-year-old Captain Ralph Kevorkian, who had flown for TWA at 31 years old and actually joined the U.S. Air Force for 9 years and had logged 18,700 flight hours, including 5,400 to the Boeing 747. First officer, or captain, or check airman was Stephen Snyder, 57 years old, had flown for TWA for 32 years and had logged 17,200 flight hours, including 4,700 on Boeing 747. Yes?
Drift, I'm sorry to interrupt. I mean, in addition, it includes 16 students and 5 adults from French club.
And we'll talk about that later.
Okay, sorry.
It's fine. Of course, not only the 2 pilots were there, but there were 4 people. A flight engineer, check airman Richard G. Campbell, who was 63 and had flown for TWA for about 30 years, and actually joined the U.S. Air Force for 12 years, and had logged 18,500 total flight hours, including 3,800 on a Boeing 747. Also, there was another flight engineer, and he was a rookie. He was very young. That would be 25-year-old flight engineer Oliver Crick, who had previously served as a business pilot for 4 years and had flown 2,500 flight hours, including 30 on the Boeing 747. Crick had flown for TWA for 26 days and was starting the 6th leg on his initial operating experience training, and he was hired on June of that year, less than 1 month prior to the disaster. In total, and the passengers were boarding the plane, most of them were actually a high school French club in Martyrsville, Pennsylvania, who attended to go on the plane for Paris.
And that's what I said.
Yes, that's what Tuck said, yes. Among them, in total, there are 230 passengers and 18 crew members, so that's a total of 230 people. The flight was supposed to head towards, heading to Paris, and then it would continue to Rome in Italy. TWA 800 was supposed to leave the gate at around 7 o'clock. However, the flight was delayed because a disabled piece of ground equipment and passenger baggage mismatch. After the baggage in question was confirmed to be on board, the flight crew prepared for departure, and the aircraft pushed back from gate 27 at TW Flight Center. The plane didn't take off around 8:17 p.m. However, because of the previous maintenance undertake on engine number 3, and as I remember, there was some maintenance going on the number 3 engine at the time, the flight crew only started the number 1 engines. 2, 4, and 3 was started about 10 minutes after it took off and taxied to runway 221. Before we talk about the plane and how it happened, the incident, we need to talk about one factor about this incident. The ground crew pumped gasoline, right? Like jet fuel, right? Because the jet fuel controls the engines. They need to have fuel to run them, right? It's like turning up your car engine with gas, you know? Like, what does a car need to run?
The car, right?
Like, what does a car need to run an engine? Like, how does a car run with? What does it run with?
With the
gasoline. Gasoline.
Yeah,
yes.
gasoline. That's gasoline.
Yes, gasoline. Yes, gasoline. Jet fuel was actually filled up on 2 fuel tanks of the wings. Like, they control the engines. There is another fuel tank on the 747, and it's the center wing tank.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the fuel tank. We will get to that later.
Yes, we'll get to that in a bit. But let's talk about the fuel tank itself. Elijah, would you please show the picture?
Show the fuel tank.
Yes, show the picture to everyone about what the center wing tank looks like. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Now, this is the biggest tank in a 747.
It's honestly one of the biggest. It's honestly one of the biggest fuel tank that I ever.
And it's located right underneath the passenger cabin.
Underneath.
Between the wings.
Really?
Between the wings, yes. Between the wings, yeah. To make things so, like, these are span-wise, and it's even bigger, and I kid you not, it's actually bigger than a 2-car garage. No
really?
joke. Yes.
It really is
Compare a 2-car garage into a bigger fuel tank like this. Tell me what's more bigger. The tank itself is huge.
The tank, it really is.
And the tank wasn't filled up. And there's a reason why. We'll get to that in a bit. The fuel tank wasn't there, but it did contain about 50 gallons of jet fuel that was left there.
Yeah.
From the Athens, Greece.
The fuel tank, it has like it comes with a long john front fin opening forward, keep in, fin opening, funnel being free in the coaster, spawn being 2, mid sputter, spawn B1, real spawn, and float beam.
Yes. The plane took off at around 8:19 p.m. and it was very delayed because it was a 2-hour delay for the incident. So, the plane was in frequency around with New York John F. Kennedy Airport. Like, it was getting instructions by air traffic controllers, right? It's normal. It's normal, right? You know,
it's normal.
The air traffic controllers tell them what's going on and such. And, well, we're gonna do something interesting. I actually recently found the cockpit voice recorder of TWA 800. And side note, it was not released to the public. It was not released. But we have a transcript, and that will be referenced later. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna play the actual recording. And if you guys hear other voices, it's because this is busy airspace. You know, this is busy airspace.
Well, use size.
Yes, it's a busy airspace, so there's multiple conversations.
Yeah.
So, with that said, Elijah, play us the audio.
Play the audio.
And also turn off the music. Turn off the music because it's gonna.
Turn off the music.
Yeah, thank you.
What you're gonna hear here is honestly recording audio from the plane.
Yes, it is the actual conversation between the pilots and the air traffic controllers.
It really is the conversation.
Elijah, bro, you here?
Elijah, are you there?
Okay.
Yes, I'm there.
Elijah, turn off the music. Turn off the music too. Turn off the music. We don't need it.
Okay. Now here's the
Okay,
recording. But
here's the recording. We'll play it.
before we play, viewers effects is advised.
Hey, it's right here.
Yeah, it's the starter for you. Big.
800 Boston Center, Roger, climb and maintain 13,000.
Space 800 heavy, climb and maintain 13,000.
Delta 76 Boston Center, 124.52.
Delta 76, 2452, good day.
Windsor 20 X-ray Boston Center, 128.75.
2875,
Roger.
good evening, Boston, 800, coming up on 9,000.
Hope you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
TWA 900, climb and maintain flight level 190.
190, 900.
TWA 800, what's your rate of climb?
Space 800 heavy, about 2,000 feet a minute here until accelerating out of 10,000.
Roger, sir, climb and maintain flight level 190 and expedite 215.
Space 800 heavy, climb and maintain 190 and expedite to 15,000. Okay, you can switch something else. Most civilians,
Soon after, air traffic controllers actually contacted the plane again and recommend them to climb at a higher rate of speed, around 15,000 feet or so. You can tell by there that the conversation was actually normal. It was normal. Everything was normal.
But it really is normal.
Singapore 507 for us, Roger, south of the Bravo, East 19, and the ultimate 3007.
Right here, this is
3112.
right here. This is where and they will come back right now. Hear it. This is here. It is.
800, your traffic at 1 o'clock and 7 miles southbound, 1,000 for the Bravo, East 1900. Okay, 800 heavy, no contact. 900 leaving 15,000, direct Nantucket on course.
Other radio will be transmitted by of course Transworld Airlines by telling the pilots to head up in a climb speed, maintain their altitude in the kind of way.
In that kind of way.
Yes.
Special 55.36. Good friend 008 Boston, Roger. Direct 18 to center maintain flight of 180. 180, direct 18. City 800, climb maintain 15,000. City 800, heavy climb and maintain 15,000 with 3,000.
This is the last radio transmission that was made by the pilots of Transworld Airlines. This is the last.
This was
is
the last one.
The last recording of the cockpit voice recorder. Directing to, of course, let's head back to what was happening. So, as pilots are communicating with the air traffic controllers, one of the captain of the Transworld Airlines, remember Steve Snyder, as I mentioned him? Yes. Steve Snyder actually said something in a recording that was actually captured by investigators. He said, quote, "Look at that crazy fuel flow indicator there on number 4." What happened was that the fuel indicator, like a fuel indicator of one of the planes, right here, the aircraft, one of these, Elisha, would you please show everyone a screen of the picture I'm going to show you? Right here, this is an indicator, right? One of the fuel indicators, like the little indicator right there in the middle, that arrow was pointing up and down. It was going like sideways. And that's not normal. Like
not
it was
normal.
going sideways. Not
It
normal.
was going sideways, like.
Yes, it was going sideways, and that's where Captain Steve Snyder said, "Look at that crazy fuel flow indicator," because he saw it. He spotted with his
the
own
way
eyes.
how the pilot look at it, it's like, look at that pointing thing.
He's like saying, "Look at that fuel indicator. Look at
Yeah,
that indicator."
the fuel indicator, yeah.
Yeah. Moments later, the engine thrust was increased as the pilots were there to climb 15,000 feet for the time. Disaster would strike in just seconds later. But before we talk about it, let's talk about what was happening underneath the passenger, the center wing tank. As I previously mentioned, there's a fuel tank underneath the passenger cabin between the wings, and it's the center wing tank. And as I mentioned earlier, remember this fuel was not refueled in John F. Kennedy Airport. It was not refueled,
or known
but it
as
did contain
JFK.
50 gallons. It contained 50 gallons of fuel. But and investigators would say that the probable cause was an explosion in the fuel tank. So, what caused the fire? And how could that amount of fuel be that devastated to destroy a 747? Well, here's where everything went happen. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, that the plane was delayed, right? And it didn't take off till like around 8:19 p.m.
Yeah,
Well, that's where it happened.
that's where it happened.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it was a hot summer day, and because of this, the air conditioner packs on the underneath the fuel tank were actually active throughout the whole time. Like air conditioners on board a 747 is very different when it comes to investigators. But the fuel was evaporated by the air conditioners. The air conditioners on board on board the plane.
Yeah, the air conditioner. Like you always have air
Like
conditioner
location
between.
so the fuel was heated up by these air conditioner systems between the wings. And the air conditioners were located underneath the fuel tank. They were located underneath the center wing tank. And you probably might be thinking, wait, aren't air conditioners different when it comes like they cool the cabin, right?
Yeah, the
Yes.
cool the cabin.
Yes, but here's where things get escalated though. To produce cool atmosphere in a cabin, the air conditioner packs draw hot air from the engines into the cabin. That means the air conditioners are literally getting hotter. Like the tanks, like the air conditioner packs are heating up. Like they are heating up. And then the jet and remember, jet fuel isn't flammable. It's not highly flammable. But when it's heated inside, it evaporates. It explodes. Like if you light up a match and you throw it at a jet fuel, it doesn't explode. But when it's inside of a tank enclosed and vaporizes, then that's where it explodes.
That's where it goes horribly wrong.
Yes, exactly. But here's the thing though. We know that the reason the fuel was flammable was because of the air conditioners. So, what triggered the ignition? Like what is the spark that ignited the fuel? Well, this is a lot of controversial to this day, but there's one theory that I believe most. I believe that the reason why it happened was due to was of course by of course like as you previously expect, spanning the whole plane is miles of wiring. Now this is where everyone's gonna get confused. So I'll try to my best to be informative if I can. So like you guys know wires, right? Wires are controlled by planes, like like that are that are like busted or something like this. Kind of like this. Elisha, would you please share this to the screen?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're
Right
welcome.
here,
Thank
these
you.
are wires, right? These are
Wires.
wires. Yes. They connect to everything inside the plane. It connects to everything, the cabin
Yeah.
lights and
The,
other aircraft systems,
Uh,
any electronic systems inside the
oh yeah,
plane.
the wires. Like
Yes.
that these wires, like you whatever you could plug or something like that. The way I'm
Yeah.
gonna see, the way I'm gonna show you. Okay, wait. Just give me a moment.
Well,
Okay, I
well,
would.
okay. You don't actually don't have to show it, but like right here, these wires, however. But here's
Okay,
where things go wrong with the wires. As I mentioned earlier,
it
the
goes
plane
wrong.
was old. Remember, this plane was so old. Like it
Yeah,
was
it was
25
old.
years. It was
That was
about
like
to be taken out
it
of
was built in
service.
like 70s.
Yes, yes. It was built in the 70s, and now in the 90s, it's already been old. It's already 25 years old if I done the math good. So
Like
yeah.
it was like 25
Here's
years
where
old.
things get but here is where the thing gets into everything. So the wires are everywhere in the plane. They're underneath. The passengers cannot see it because they're underneath of the Boeing 747. The wires connect through everything. It connects the cargo hold, the fuel tank, and everything, even the engines too. But here's the end. But this is where investigators conclusion that circuit inside the center wing tank ignited the vapor. But how was that possible? Well, when investigators pull out the wreckage of the plane, they found wires. In this picture, these wires were broken. Like these wires were twisted, as you see in this picture.
Yeah,
Like that's a big concern right there
it really is a big concern.
because like electricity has to connect with wire, and if there's no wire, then there could be a risk of someone getting electrocuted or something.
That's good.
But
Whatever.
the NTSB found that the wires inside the 747 were not changed. Like they did not like the Boeing did not you know change the wires. Like because every wire has to change, right? Because the sooner they get older, you have to add new wires.
Yeah, they
But they
should.
didn't.
They didn't.
Yes,
I
but
mean,
here's where things get kind of confusing, and it might get confused.
it really
But
is.
like, how did the wire got into the fuel tank? Well, here's the thing: there are different types of wires in the plane. There's the high voltage wires, and there are the lower voltage wires. The lower voltage wires has a center wing tank in them, right?
Yeah.
And the higher voltage wires connects the cabin lights. So, so something must have happened. It looked like one of the high voltage wires jumped into the lower voltage wires, and it somehow made into the center wing tank and produced a small tiny spark.
Spark
But
right here.
but but the thing is they have no proof because short circuits does not leave physical evidence behind. But there is one thing the investigators got from, and it has to do with an electrical discourage, an electrical system that tells pilots how much fuel is in the plane, and has to be one of the fuel tank wires somehow jumped into the lower voltage wires where the center wing tank is, and because the fuel was already evaporated by the air conditioners, the spark entered into the center wing tank, and then it ignited the fuel.
Really.
But how did investigators prove their theory that it was a short circuit that took down the plane? Well, their evidence came back in the recorded cockpit voice recorder, actually. The one that we were hearing, right? Right? Remember we were hearing that? The cockpit voice recorder
Yes.
earlier? Yes.
Yes, we are.
Well,
We do.
here's where everything happened. Like as soon as the cockpit voice recorder was dropped out, they heard something else. They heard some dropouts. Like like dropouts. Here, I actually have it. Like right here, it's called an audio dropout. For those who don't know, what is an audio dropout? An audio dropout is, well, very different.
Very
Like,
different.
yes, and we actually have someone here that actually has the picture. So, Elijah, would you please share this picture to everyone to.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, yes, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Anyways, these are dropouts. You see right here the audio, right? These are like the normal audio, right? Like right here, these are dropouts. Like
Dropouts.
right here. Like these in red circles.
Red
In a
circles.
recording, yes. In a recording of the Transworld Airlines disaster, somehow, like before the cockpit voice recorder broke out, they heard three dropouts that conducted electricity. Like it was some sort of static noise that they heard. So that proves their theory. A short circuit that 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 a short circuit entered to the lower section of the wires, of the chafe wires, because they were broken. Remember, these wires were they were old and they were getting worn out. They were getting worn out. And the the wire that entered is still unknown. But we do know is that the wire entered was from the fuel indicator. Remember, as the pilot said, look at that crazy fuel flow indicator? Well, that had to be where the electricity jumped into the lower voltage wires. So that has to be a clue because remember the pilot said about the fuel indicator going up and down. What happened was there was a mechanical problem. A
They
mechanical
got a good
problem in the
problem.
fuel indicator. Yes. A mechanical problem had happened in TWA Flight 800. But the investigators found out that it was short circuit because of the cockpit voice recorder that they recovered.
The
And
short.
honestly, it's so interesting hearing the audio like going out. That that my friend is something I've never seen before. Usually a cockpit voice recorder, whenever a plane crashes, the cockpit voice recorder always stays intact until the moment of collision, like when the plane hits the ground. That's where recording stopped. But before it happened, but with TWA 800, the dropouts just happened just before the collision, just before the accident. So, with that said, we have to talk about what happened on board Transworld Airlines Flight 800. Elijah, it's time. Play the music.
Yeah, I'll play the music now.
Yes.
And the aisle. Trevor, you there?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm just lost. I'm just lost for words. I'm sorry. I'm just lost for words. Okay. Okay. The the vaporized fuel in the center wing tank ignited. The Hold on, give me a second. I need to find a picture. The subsequent fire had destroyed the spanwise beams of the plane. The explosion was tremendous. That the plane. Elijah, would you set a picture, please? You need to show everyone the center wing tank, please. Okay.
Okay, you're welcome.
The spanwise beams. These things. Spanwise beam number 3 actually fell and exploded and was imploded. The wing tank just exploded. It's like you put an insert explosion right here. The center wing tank just exploded.
It blew up.
It exploded, yes. And what happened to the plane was that the plane suffered a structural failure. Because of the explosion of the tank, it caused the plane to break up in midair.
Break up mid-air.
Yes, it break up in midair. No joke.
No
Elijah,
joke.
share the picture, please. And because of the fuel tank explosion, the cockpit broke off in midair. And the first class cabin, because remember, the explosion was tremendous, and there were cracks around the fuselage of the plane. The cracks suddenly grew and grew, then the cockpit just blew off. It just blew off.
It blew up.
Yes, it blew off. It blew off, and it separated the plane. And we actually have an animation by the NTSB that conducted the investigation. Elijah, would you please play it?
Thank you. Again?
Right here you see this plane taking off from JFK. And well, here's the explosion of the center wing tank as you see here. Right there, you see it.
You can see it's on fire.
The cockpit
and it
split up. It
Look at
split
that.
up. Then
It
the
split
plane
up.
with the rest of the passengers headed up. The remaining engines flew up. The plane just started going up vertically.
Going up.
And it turned right vertically. and then
And it goes
it went
down
down and down, and then
and down and down and down.
and then there was another explosion that happened because the wings, as the stress clears, the wings off, as you see here. It
Yeah.
broke off the wings, as you see
It
here.
broke up the wind.
Right here, you'll see it. Look,
Oh my god. And it goes down.
it
and
exploded,
It exploded. It blew it up. Look,
and then it fell down in the Atlantic Ocean.
It fell down into the Atlantic Ocean. It fell into the sea.
Many people
Had killed.
many people that were in the water
Yeah.
yeah, it fell down in the water and
It
fell into the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Many witnesses on the water and ground that evening noticed a streak of light that was descending from the sky.
Yeah.
But investigators found out that this is what they saw. What the witnesses saw was the burning remains of the plane crashing into the water. The debris,
crashing
yes.
into the water, and then
Yes, the subsequent fire, and that's what the witnesses saw. They did not see anything else. They saw the plane on fire.
They saw the plane on fire, and then
Yes.
and like you say, Trev, it crashed into the sea. And you know what's gonna happen. You know we're gonna talk about what happened to the people inside the plane.
We don't have to talk about. It's very disturbing what they saw. They experienced everything.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
A captain in a plane, an East Wings Airlines captain named, according to here, he was named, we don't know exactly his name, but he was a captain of the East Wings Airlines, Boeing 757, and he reported to air traffic. David McLean, that's his name.
David
McLean, yes.
David McLean.
And he saw the explosion. And he reported to air traffic controllers. Elisha, can you play the audio, please? Stop the music and let's play the audio, because this is the conversation between Captain Dave McCrane, David, from East Wings Airlines captain. Can you play the audio, please, Alex? Elisha. Stop playing the music, please. Stop playing the music.
Okay, right. Now, what you're gonna hear is a very disturbing audio.
It's a disturbing
audio from the captain.
Of the captain that witnessed the plane blowing up. He saw the plane blow up. He saw it.
He saw
Elisha,
it. So,
can you share the screen, please? Share the video. Everyone needs to see this.
I mean, what you're gonna hear is a very disturbing audio. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Yes, viewer discretion is advised, because of what you guys are gonna hear is the captain's conversation between between David and the air traffic controllers in New York.
I mean, if you're a kid, get the parent with you.
Have a parent with you, please. Recommend you any sibling or anyone that's older than you.
Get your mom and dad with you.
Okay.
Sorry, it's
fine. It's fine. Stop the music, though. Stop the music. Stop the music, because we need to hear the audio.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the music right now.
All right, thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
We just saw an explosion out here, 5507. Angle 507, I'm sorry, I missed it. You had 18, did you say something else? We just saw an explosion there, it's about 16,000 feet or something like that, it just went down. To the water. I'm under 609 feet from the water boat. Should have been 900 for higher contact Boston now and 124.52. 452 should have been 900. Thank you. Well, to the Virgin 009, I could confirm that out of my 9 o'clock position, we just had an explosion out there about 5 miles away, 6 miles away. Virgin 009, I'm sorry, you're transmitting. Can you hand out, please? At the 9 o'clock position, sir, it looked like an explosion of some sort about maybe 6 miles out from my 9 o'clock position. Explosion 6 miles out at your 9 o'clock position. Thank you very much, sir. Contact New York approach 125.7. 257. Should have been 800, center. Investigate that explosion if you get it that long. TWA 800, center.
You can hear them contacting the plane right now.
TWA 800 is the air center right there. 507, you reported an explosion, is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. About 5 miles out. About 11 o'clock here.
I would tell you 609, contact Boston now on 124.52.
124.5. There's no place for emergency. So we just had the explosion right overhead the sun, 103 miles to JFK. So 28 miles to JFK on the 102 radio.
It's kind of a thing of the 507. We are directly over the site with that airplane or whatever it was just exploded went into the water.
So 18 or 19 miles on the 236 radio, Hampton.
Roger that. Thank you very much, sir. We're investigating that right now. 228-800 center, 228-8200 for your air center ident.
609, you're taking the 652.
Virgin 9, 125.7 today.
What you guys are gonna hear is actually something that the captain said.
Jet expects 18 to center, maintain 1000, expedite down.
Expedite to 11, Jet expects 18.
Aircraft 008, center, maintain flight level 220. Bridge aircraft 008, center, maintain flight level 220.
I think I'm going to take 220 across the 008.
United 2 Heavy 11000. United 2 Boston Center, Rush, flight maintain 15,000.
Under 15,000, United 2 Heavy.
And Boston, the 276, US Air 217 Boston Center, Roger, the center maintain 11,000. I realize you're a little bit high, but you have to do your best down. Providence, South Carolina 3004.
11,000, double 4, you have to back 4,000 for
US Air 17, Red Providence at this time. Delta 92 Heavy, leveling at 11. Delta 92 Boston Center, Roger, climb maintain 15,000. Delta 92 Heavy, 15,000. AV Alpha Tango 450, New York Center, 133.05. 133.05. CWA 800 Center.
Here's the audio, guys. Hear it.
Here's the audio.
Wait, shh. Here it is.
I think so. Boston Sardi, Kennedy 92 line. Aircraft 008, Kennedy maintain 12,000. Kennedy altimeter 308, Kennedy 92.
300, maintain the 12 kills on there out front, 008.
Should expect 18, Providence now 125.75.
You want us to hold on to Air France, or are you all right with them?
US Air 217, contact the Providence approach now 125.75. Thanks for your help today.
75, yeah, have a good one.
United 2, climb maintain flight level 190.
5 to 190,
Thing be 507, thanks for that report. New York on 133.05 today, sir.
3305, so we'll pick up 507. Anything we can do for you before we go?
Well, I just want to confirm that that you saw the splash in the water approximately 20 southwest of Hampton, is that right?
Yes, sir. It blew up in the air, and then we saw 2 fireballs go down to the water. There's a big small smoke storm coming up from that. Also, there seemed to be a light. I thought it was a landing light on it. It was coming right at us at about 15,000 feet or something like that. And I put my landing light to, so I saw him, and then it blew.
Roger that, sir. That was the 747 out there. You had a visual on that. Anything else in the area when it happened?
I didn't see anything. It seemed to be alone. I thought I had a landing light on. Maybe it was a fire. I don't know.
I think it'd be 507. Roger that. Anything else comes to your mind, you can use your other radio. Come back to this frequency and tell me about it.
That's all I can think of at this time.
United 2, Boston 124.
As you all heard, what the captain of when air traffic controllers realized that Flight 800 was the one that exploded in the air, one of the pilots there said, "God bless them," and that's chilling. It's just chilling that he said, "God bless them." Sorry. The disaster of TWA 800 claimed the lives of 230 people, leaving no survivors. It's one of the deadliest disasters to ever occur. It's one of the deadliest aviation disasters in American history. The explosion of a center wing tank has happened before, actually. Pan Am Flight 214 crashed in Florida, killing 330 people because after a lightning strike caused the plane to crash and exploded. Elisha, play the music, please, and play the picture, please.
Yes, sir. Music.
Yes, please. The disaster of TWA 800 claimed the lives of 230 people, leaving no survivors. It's one of the deadliest aviation disasters to ever occur in the United States. There were similar incidents that a center wing tank had exploded on the plane before, but this could have been prevented though. But when it comes to TWA 800, most were passed by, of course, information and everything. Simply put, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't believe to this day, and it's the term, not everyone believes the probable cause of the accident. Like, no one believes that a small electricity actually caused the plane to crash or to blow up. But we won't have to entertain about the conspiracy theories to this day because we don't want to spread misinformation, of course, you know? And in the fewer years after the incident, the wake-up call was there, you know? To determine what ignited the flammable fuel vapor in the cockpit voice recorder and the cause of the explosion, the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, evaluated numerous potential ignition sources. All but one were considered very unlikely to have been the source of ignition. To reduce the flammability inside of airplanes, to reduce the accidental ignition of the fuel, the National Transportation Safety Board, again, recommended that planes carry a nitrogen-hydrogen system on board. What it does is that nitrogen is inflammable, and it reduces the flammability for the jet fuel to be ignited. 1996 was a bad year for Americans. But there is some good stuff that came out of this incident, though, because in the aftermath, there were many of this actually, guys. Here, of course, during the investigation, of course, the NTSB and the FBI clashed with each other. The agencies lacked a detailed protocol describing which agency should take the lead when or whether an event was an accident or criminal act was initially unclear. So, it was both investigation from both the NTSB and the FBI to conclude this incident. But, though, of course there was something interesting that actually happened. There was the Family Act. It's called the Aircraft Casualty Emotional Support Services, meaning that those loved ones that lost their loved ones were being treated well from whenever an accident happens with transportation accidents that claim many lives. So there is one thing good about this. An organization called the Aircraft Casualty Emotional Support Services was signed by law by President Bill Clinton, who was the president at the time, was signed to the 1996 was a bad year for America because 2 months prior to TWA 800, ValueJet flight 752 crashed in Finland, killing 100 people. That disaster had actually given a wake-up call to aviation disasters. But there was something else too.
It was Isaac. Isaac made me do that.
But here's the thing. Elijah, would you please show the picture, please? I need to show the picture, please.
No, it
The
was no.
the
Dot G forced me to do that. Dot G and Isaac
Elijah,
manipulated.
Elijah, please.
Okay.
Picture.
Sorry, I was just talking.
It's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
You're welcome.
A memorial was built in Long Island, New York, with all the nameplates of all the passengers that died in Transworld Airlines Flight 800. But after the incident, new wires were rebuilt, and new wires were installed with new lead 747s, and it started and launched in 2001. So an accident like this never happens again. And what it's time for all of us is 20 seconds of silence for the victims that died in this incident.
You guys saw the comments?
Okay, that's 20 seconds late. That's 20 seconds. Okay, that's enough. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm just busy with my documentaries, bro. I'm sorry. But yeah. Anyways, these were the five four airplanes that crashed, and they were all recommended by my friend Elijah. So yes. Of course, to all 200 to all those victims that lost their loved ones in those incidents, we of course dedicate to the victims, to those who lost their loved ones. Yes. And all those people, like all those family victims, like all those families, the families of the deceased, of the victims that we talked about the aviation disasters, was that it was honestly sad that these incidents happened, but it's very sad that all those people lost their loved ones. And to those guys, like the victims of the families that lost their loved ones on those incidents, we gave you dedication and God, and our heart goes out to you guys. You know, like we could not imagine what you guys are going through when this happened to your loved one. Like it's pretty sad. That's all I can say. Sad. You know, it's just.
Hey, Trev, are we done? I mean, honestly, Trev, before.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that's it. Yes, that's it. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. But Trev, after the live stream, I have to talk to you very quickly because I think.
Okay, Elijah, turn off the music, please. Turn off the music.
Yeah,
that's enough. That's enough.
Okay. So we're done live stream.
Okay, I got it.
Yes.
You're welcome too, my guy.
Anyways, yeah. After talking about these investigations and learning about aviation disasters, it's honestly pretty clear that these incidents could have been prevented. You know, all these incidents could have been prevented, though, but it sadly did not happen. It just happened randomly, and it's kind of sad. But let's look on a positive side about these incidents. At least the aviation disasters, at least the FAA or Federal Aviation Administration are taking extreme measures to prevent most of these incidents from ever happening again. And it's really honestly preventable, honestly, this incidents, and it's very tragedy. These are tragedies that we're talking about, and we never really wanted to do any kind of video that involves with tragedies because some of us might, because we don't know if YouTube's a fan of these kinds of videos, but I think seems like YouTube are really fans of these kinds of type of videos.
Yeah.
But
Triff.
What's up?
Triff, after we done live streaming, can I talk to you after this? I mean, Isaac told me something you're not gonna believe. Okay.
I know. I saw the messages when I was reading when I was talking about the plane disaster. Yeah. Anyways. Well, that was it. The aviation disasters. If you guys want to do part 2, then there'll be part 2. And if you guys have some recommendations if you guys have some ideas for If you guys have
Okay.
some ideas for like other ideas of aviation disasters, just tell Elijah, and then we'll talk about the
And
incident.
also, I would let you know, guys. Okay, you can change your profile pictures back to happy.
Yeah.
And also, don't we also have another thing because of we had the plus that says plus the thing right there, Elijah.
Yes, to expose the Angela
Yes.
that the
Guys, guys,
videos and no photo fan for leaking one of our faces too.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
We know,
Yeah.
but
Also,
like
Alex wants
honestly,
to be back in here.
yeah. Okay, what, Isaac?
Oh my god, dude, I'm scared.
What happened? What happened? What happened?
Wait, Elijah, in the stream, in the
I'm
stream.
sorry, guys.
End the
My
stream. End the
laptop
stream.
just
Okay,
And
let's
the,
died.
and
pretend
the
it's never
stream, and
happened.
the stream,
Okay.
Elijah.
Listen,
And-
listen, everyone. Okay, listen. Okay, to all those viewers watching Elijah's channel, I recommend you guys subscribe to my friend, bro. Like, give shout out to him. Shout out to all those people
just
here. Shout
subscribe
out to
to
Tug,
Elijah's.
Isaac, Alex, Alan, and everyone.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, don't
if you
forget
guys want to
me.
make these kind of videos, if you guys want us to make these kind of
Yep.
live streams, then recommend. Then of course, you gotta, what we gotta do, bro. You gotta hit the like and subscribe button,
Yeah.
and you also gotta check on the comments too to tell
Yeah.
us what aviation disaster you want us to do,
Yeah.
and we'll do a part 2. Right, Elijah? We'll do a part 2.
Right.
Yeah, we would do a part
Okay.
2.
So what?
Yes.
Okay. So the next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
You too, everyone. Let's
Yeah.
go. That's all,
Okay.
folks.
Yeah,
That's all, folks.
That's all.
Too.
All right, end
end
the
the-
live stream
end-
now, Elijah.
End
All right, end the
end
live
it right
stream.
now. End it right now.
Yeah, end it.
And also,
Okay, drift.
Okay, what
what was something going on again?
Wait, Elijah,
Wait, Elijah, you start. Wait, hold on. The live stream's still on, bro. No. We can't do it till the live stream ends, bro.
Okay,
End live
end
stream.
it. End it.
Bro,
End it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
please.